themselves and treating each other with respect and dignity at all times, recognizing that our differences don't divide us, but they make us stronger. At this time, we'd like to honor this great nation and those who defend it with the playing of our national anthem. Center field, number 15, Jake Talia. Playing right field, number 23, Stephen Reed. Playing third base, number 9, Brent Boca. Playing shortstop.
Well, already having locked up the ACC Coastal Division crown, the 21st ranked Virginia baseball team looks to keep it rolling this weekend from Atlanta, Georgia, and potentially sweep the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Hi again, folks. Welcome back to McNeese Baseball Park at Rush Chandler Stadium on what is Mark Teixeira Day here in Midtown Atlanta. They retired the former big leaguer and former Yellow Jackets number pregame. We welcome you back to the ballpark. Overcast skies for this Saturday finale. It is the 2023 regular season finale, and on the verge of the ACC Baseball Championship next week. Virginia now at 43-11, 18-11 in ACC play. Winners of 8 straight look to take down Georgia Tech. Alongside Scott Fitzgerald, Channing Poole here with you once again from the ballpark. And Scott, again, Virginia's already claimed the Coastal Division, but still a lot to play for today.
Yeah, you know, they're trying to solidify a spot. One of the top 8 seeds in the NCAA tournament is the goal for this Virginia Cavalier program. So certainly winning 8 straight games here at the end of the year is going to help that case, hopefully a 9th.
We'll see if they can do that today against Jackson Finley, who makes the start for Georgia Tech. Let's run through the batting order put together by Virginia's now 20th-year head coach, Brian O'Connor. Very similar to what it's been all weekend long. Leading off at shortstop, Griff O'Farrell. Ethan O'Donnell bats second. He is in center field. Jake Geloff in the 3 spot playing third base. Kyle Teal already 5 hits this weekend, including 2 homers. Teal does the catching, batting cleanup. Ethan Anderson hits 5th at first base. Casey Sauke, the right fielder, batting 6th. Anthony Stefan is the designated hitter, batting 7th. Henry Godbout in the 8th spot plays second base. And Colin Tuft will round out the order. Batting ninth, Tuft is in left field. Again, for Virginia, the top third goes O'Farrell, O'Donnell, Geloff. Middle third, Teal, Anderson, Sauke. And the bottom third of Stefan, Godbout, Tuft. On Thursday night, Virginia, 12-5 winners over Georgia Tech. It was 12 runs on 11 hits. Followed up yesterday by a 10-6 win in which Virginia put up 10 runs on 13 hits. Wahoos have still played errorless baseball to this point of the weekend. And on the mound, it will be Brian Edgington for the Hoos. But first things first, let's tell you about Georgia Tech starter Jackson Finley, redshirt sophomore from Richmond Hill, Georgia. Finley, who has been the designated hitter for games 1 and 2. He's in the lineup again when Georgia Tech comes to the plate as the pitcher / DH. But the 6'4", 225-pound righty makes what will be his 13th start of the season here this afternoon. Into the windup, right-hander deals, and a fastball misses down. 1 ball, no strikes. Underway right on time at 12:02. And just afternoon, a game that was originally scheduled for 1 o'clock, but because of the travel constraints and trying to get back to Virginia and catch a commercial flight, teams agreed to bump the game up an hour. And hopefully that'll make sure we don't have to run into any drop-dead times. Pitch fouled back, 1-1 to O'Farrell. Overcast and 72 at first pitch today. Breaking ball, top of the zone strike, 1-2. For Finley this season, a 2-4 record, an ERA of 5.63. 46 and a third innings, 41 strikeouts, 15 walks. Pitch fouled away. We'll do it again, 1-2.
Yeah, O'Farrell, uncharacteristic last night, 1 for 6. His batting average is right at the 400 mark for the season.
2 guys still up over 400. Pretty incredible. Breaking ball bounces in, 2-2. And I guess somewhat in contrast to yesterday's starter, Aiden Finateri, Finley's breaking ball not necessarily a true put-away pitch. Strikeout numbers fewer than a strikeout an inning. Fastball lined out towards center field, leaping up to second baseman Campbell. He can't get to it. There's a base hit. O'Farrell must have heard you. He's got a base hit to start the ball game. It is his 4th of the series, now 4 for 12.
Clockwork for Griff O'Farrell. You've seen it so many times this year where he's able to take a pitch up the middle and, more importantly, lead off the game with a base hit.
Well, now Ethan O'Donnell, 4 for 9. 1 of the 4 was a home run. Another 1 of the 4, a double. He's got a couple of RBIs and a walk. Check on O'Farrell at first, who dives back in. Wise to keep an eye on Griff, who has 15 steals in 16 attempts on the year. Ethan O'Donnell, left-hand batter against the righty Finley. Breaking ball, outside edge for a strike. And again, he can do that. He can drop in the breaking ball to get ahead of hitters. It's a question of, does he have a sharp enough breaking pitch to induce a swing and miss? Strike thrower. I feel like you see that a lot with two-way guys. Those athletes that are competitors, they want to live in the strike zone. Next one fouled away, 0-2. He's only walked 15 batters all season, so the numbers indicate that he does throw plenty of strikes.
Of course, very, very familiar are we watching Virginia baseball, or any Virginia baseball fan, with a two-way player.
Now the 0-2 pitch, that's outside, 1-2. And while Virginia has not had an impact two-way player this season, they do have an impact two-sport player.
That's true.
And there are some guys that potentially could, down the road, end up impacting both ways. Of course, Bradley Hodges is a two-way guy and does take batting practice before every game, although his opportunities have been on the mound so far. You never know. He might end up seeing at-bats at some point in time, left-handed option. Now the 1-2, swing and a ball fouled away. And the younger Teal, a guy that very much can impact eventually both on the mound and as a position player.
He's been taking a lot of batting practice of late. Hopefully he can have, half the production that his older brother has had here at Virginia.
Well, if he does half at the plate, but also impacts on the mound, be a pretty strong Teal family legacy. Hayden Teal, who has not seen action this year, but hopefully will factor into the plans moving forward. Pitch upstairs, 2-2 to O'Donnell. Ethan hitting at .363, 11 homers, 46 runs batted in. Runner at first, nobody out. The pitch, swing and a miss. Good changeup that time from Finley. And O'Donnell is his first strikeout victim. So obviously I talked Virginia into a strikeout, saying that Finley has not been a big strikeout guy. He's also not been a guy that's gone overly deep into ball games, although really Georgia Tech has done that with their weekend rotation all year. They're not big on allowing pitchers to face a lineup for a third time. And Finley has only gone as many as 5 innings in a game this season. Geloff swings, smacks one to left. That ball's drilled. It's a quick look from Despina, but he knows the fate. That ball's long gone, and Geloff has a 2-run homer to put Virginia in front and break his own single-season RBI record. Jake now with 83 runs batted in on the year. Home run number 21 this season for Jake Geloff.
Just amazing. A weekend occurrence for Jake Geloff. His 46th career home run.
Well, I mentioned the single-season RBIs, but there's all kinds of record watch statistics to catch up on when you think about single-season homers, career homers extending that lead, career RBIs, and single-season RBIs.
A lot to keep track of. I think that puts him 3 away from matching Stephen Prosch's career RBI record.
0-1 to Teal, meanwhile, change-up outside, 1-1. It looked like a hanging breaking ball that Geloff got, and he did not miss it. Hit it just to the right of the left center field scoreboard. Early fireworks for this Virginia team. Now the 1-1. Change up outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Well, Kyle Teal has been the most productive bat this weekend. 6 RBIs already through games 1 and 2. Pitch fouled back. Really, his 2-run line drive homer yesterday, I know Coach O'Connor mentioned it, sort of felt like that pivot point in the game that really propelled Virginia to what was going to be a clear-cut victory. 2-2. Down and in, 3-2. But it feels like, not to say he hasn't swung it well all year long, but from a power standpoint, it feels like Kyle Teal has kicked it into another gear in the home stretch of the season, which is really big going into playoff baseball, looming first in Durham next week. Pitch fouled away. I think now at this point it feels like, Scott, all the pundits would tell you Virginia should have a top 16 seed, which would mean regional baseball in Charlottesville should have that in hand by this point. Pitch down and in, that's ball 4.
Yeah, I think that's clear cut. You know, if you were to ask after a final exam break, what did Virginia need to do to be a host for an NCAA regional, it'd be winning 5 of the 6, maybe even 4 of the 6 can get away, 2 series wins to secure a spot in Charlottesville. But they far succeeded that, and really can put an exclamation point on that case today with a win.
Now Ethan Anderson takes a breaking ball low, 1-0. I think it would be truly shocking if the ACC's Coastal Division champion did not get one of the host spots. And I think, again, the question now, the real question is a matter of top 8 and whether Virginia has done enough or whether a win today would be enough to put them in that top 8 positioning.
Yeah, you were mentioning it before, we were talking pregame. With Clemson being so hot, they're kind of neck and neck, and Clemson has the edge in RPI, so it'd be very interesting what the committee does.
And honestly, their game today against North Carolina could be big for Virginia from a standpoint of if Virginia wins, Clemson loses, going into the ACC tournament with identical conference records, and depending on what the RPI looks like, because talking about top 8, I mean, I really do think that the committee factors in how many teams from one league would you put in the top 8. And if it's only going to be 2 ACC teams, Wake clearly has one. Does it then become a toss-up between Virginia and Clemson? Or would they extend as far as 3? Fastball misses outside, ball 4. So after the home run by Geloff, consecutive walks for Teal and Anderson.
Yeah, I'd like to see the history behind that without doing some research on it. But how many times has the ACC had a top or 3 teams in the top 8, if ever? Because it seems somewhat of a rarity to have 3 teams from the. I'm sure the SEC has done it in years past, but would like to see what the numbers are from the ACC side.
Early visit from Danny Burrell, fourth-year pitching coach. Speaking of Wake Forest, he was a two-way player at Wake back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Mark Teixeira would have been playing here at Georgia Tech. I wonder if Coach Burrell had any conversations with Teixeira about the playing days in the ACC back in those late 90s days. So here's Casey Salke. Teal at second, Anderson at first with 1 out in the inning. And a called strike, 0-1. The regular season finale. Georgia Tech seemingly not even on the bubble for the NCAA tournament. They have locked up a spot in next week's ACC Baseball Championship, so they would have to take it to the finish line there to get themselves into the NCAA tournament. Salke fouls it back, 0-2. Two on, 1 out. And Jackson Finley, this has become quite the lengthy inning for him. Breaking very early, Teal, and the throwback behind him at second is in time. Teal putting his hands to either side of his helmet. He wants a second look. The throw beat him, and I don't think Brian O'Connor's going to ask for a review, I think. And now Teal would not stop pleading his case all the way back to the dugout, and he finally convinced Brian O'Connor to take a second look. I think initially Oak didn't want to do so because first inning.
Yeah. Reluctantly, he kind of ignored him as Kyle was walking off the field. Wasn't looking at him. I don't know if you noticed that. He kind of focused back in at the plate, and Kyle ran straight to him and said, "Hey, we got to challenge this." So that was an interesting exchange. There's not too many players I think are in this roster that could convince Coach O'Connor to do that. Kyle Teal's probably one of those guys.
Well, he immediately trotted back out to second base, where he stands now. The umpires take a second look. He was alternating as he ran to Coach O'Connor, tapping his hands on the side of his helmet and doing a safe sign, as if Coach O'Connor needed any help in finding out what he was arguing. Again, the throw from Finley, I don't know if you would agree, clearly beat Teal, but it did look like it was sort of a slow tag getting down to him. He might have gotten around it. The question always remains, is there an angle that shows it?
Yeah, that's exactly – it's a great point. I mean, a lot of the times you go into these challenges and coaches think and players think that we've got MLB on Fox and cameras all over the place. But the reality is there might be 1 or 2 good looks at that. And, that's obviously dependent on camera operators and that sort of thing. So never an easy process to get something like that overturned, especially in that case when the ball beats you to the bag.
Well, this also makes a long inning for Finley even longer, as Finley was already at 27 pitches before that pickoff. So now having to make some warm-up tosses to stay loose while the umpiring crew is taking a second look. We have seen some of the reviews this weekend have taken a while to get a final ruling, but part of that is how far do the umpires have to go to even get to the broadcast positioning, and then sometimes from school to school it can take a little while to get replay system operational.
I get a replay here and our monitor in front of us, and I think Kyle's got a case.
The way the tag was put down, even in real time, it felt like he had a case, but I just think the biggest question is always, is there video that shows it clearly?
Yeah, it almost looks like, just looking at this replay, it looks like the glove is laying on the ground, and Kyle's kind of doing a Superman with both arms out.
Well, the umpires come back and call him out. So Coach Mack just patted the second base ump, Craig Barron, on the back. I think he probably told Mack we didn't have anything that showed it.
Yeah.
Because even what you were looking at, yes, what you're saying you think to be the case, that the tag never actually got to Teal until his hand was on the base. But that angle, you couldn't tell exactly when contact was made. Now bouncing ball out to short, though, to second. This will quickly end the inning. So after all that, Virginia settles for the 2 runs on the home run from Jake Geloff. We go to the bottom half of the first. Our first look at the reigning ACC Pitcher of the Week, Brian Edgington. When we come back, 2-0 Hoos going to the bottom of the first in Atlanta.
For your safety and those around you, please be aware of all thrown and batted balls. If you happen to retrieve a foul ball during today's game, please bring it to the marketing table behind Section 3. Thank you. Fans, have you picked up your raffle ticket yet? Whenever Yellow Jackets score big, so do you. Whenever your Yellow Jackets score a home run, a random fan will win a prize pack courtesy of Georgia Tech Baseball. Pick up your raffle ticket at the marketing table and cheer on your Yellow Jackets to score big.
An early 2-0 lead thanks to a Jake Geloff home run. We go to the bottom of the first in Atlanta. And a look at the batting order put together by Georgia Tech's 30th year head coach Danny Hall. And for the Yellow Jackets, leading off at second base, Christian Campbell. Jake DeLeo hits second. He is the center fielder. Stephen Reed in right field bats third, with Angelo Despina in left field hitting cleanup. John Giesler, the first baseman, bats fifth. Hitting sixth is the pitcher and designated hitter Jackson Finley, with Jaden Jackson, the shortstop, hitting seventh. Tyler Minnick does the catching, batting eighth. And Brant Baucom, who is in the 9th spot at third base, making his 4th start of the year and his first start since February 25th. It has been a long time, but he sort of bookends the season. And back in the lineup, batting ninth. Again, top third, Campbell, DeLeo, Reed. Middle third, Despina, Giesler, Finley. Bottom third, Jackson, Minnick, Baucom. Against Virginia's Brian Edgington. 14th appearance, 13th start for Edgington. Deals a fastball strike, 0-1 to the right-hand hitting Campbell. A 7-3 record, an ERA of 3.33. 67 2/3 innings. Edgington, the Elon transfer, has struck out 73 batters and has walked only 18. Breaking ball lined right at Ethan Anderson. And there's one away as Edgington gets a quick first out.
Your Virginia Cavalier defense, kind of the usual from Brian O'Connor. Only 14 variations of a defensive lineup this year. Left field, Colin Tuff. Center field, Ethan O'Donnell. and Casey Salke in right. In the infield, Geloff at third base, Griffo Farrell at short, Henry Godbout at second base, Ethan Anderson at first, who just caught that line drive. And, of course, making 113 straight starts behind the dish is Kyle Teal.
Brian Edgington misses outside with a first pitch slider to Jake DeLeo, 1-0. You know, that's 311 backwards for what it's worth.
That is true.
Edgington, opponents hitting just 240 against him, 61 hits allowed over 67 and 2/3 innings. Again, much better than a strikeout an inning. And only 18 walks all year. Fastball strike, 1-1. Last time out, sort of illustrating that point, 6 innings against Louisville, no runs on 2 hits. But I always think the most impressive part about his quality starts this year, no walks, 8 strikeouts. I mean, when he has had great starts, the strikeout to walks have been a big number to either 0 or 1.
Yeah, that he capped the weekend last weekend with the no-walk performance. Virginia starting pitchers, 18 in the third innings, no walks against Louisville.
It's quite the impressive theme, and obviously he earned ACC Pitcher of the Week honors. In a way, it felt like you could have taken your pick from Virginia last weekend. And I think he probably would have even told you it was sort of a staff honor because of what you just said. They were all excellent Friday through Sunday, sweeping the Cards. 3-1. There's a fastball strike, 3-2. Jake DeLeo, 2 for 10 in the series, double and a couple of runs scored. Edgington says yes, ready to go. Now the payoff pitch. Fouled straight back. 92-mile-an-hour fastball over the outer part of the plate. Count holds at 3-2. You watched every pitch of that start last Sunday. What impressed you the most about Edgington in the win over Louisville?
I mean, control, you know, and he really didn't have any trouble spots. A lot of his quality starts in the past or over the course of the season, you know, he's kind of labored through, and I felt that he had command from the get-go last weekend.
Pitch fouled away by DeLeo, so we'll do it again, 3-2. Meantime, Virginia made Jackson Finley throw 28 pitches in the first. Next one bounced right side, ranging his Godbout, lunges out, fields it, spins, throws to first, but not in time. Play backed up by Teal as it bounces away from Anderson. Boy, heck of an effort from Henry Godbout, who was shaded up the middle to even get to that baseball. Although obviously the throw left a little bit to be desired. He had no choice but to get rid of it immediately to even have a shot at the speedy DeLeo. And instead it is a one-out single.
Would have been very, very close if the throw had been on line. But for all baseball purists, one of the greatest things to watch is Kyle Teal back up first base, which he was right there. There's no chance for DeLeo to take an extra base on the overthrow.
Now Stephen Reed, who's been sort of emblematic of the Georgia Tech offense this year, all or nothing. 2 for 6, 2 hits have been home runs. And he's also walked and been hit by a pitch. Georgia Tech very much a 3 true outcomes type of offense. Home run, walk, strikeout. Now the 1-0. Fastball a little bit high. I'll tell you this, though. Even in the fact that DeLeo gets a base hit, it was weak contact, fairly weak contact, but the number of pitches he fouled off, Edgington did not give in. He kept throwing strikes.
Yeah, encouraging sign here from the beginning here from Edgington.
Now the 2-0. Downstairs 3-0. And, you know, like you were saying, what made last week so special, there was no sort of blip on the radar inning. It does feel like when he has had that inning this year, oftentimes it's been the first, that it takes him an inning to settle into the start. 3 balls, no strikes to Reed. And right there with a fastball. 3-1. Honestly, a little surprised Reed didn't have the green light there. And, I mean, if he had, that is a center-cut fastball. Check on DeLeo, who dives back in. 8 stolen bases this year. known as a very athletic center fielder. So good speed aboard for the Jackets. Hitters count for Reed, 3-1. They check again at first. Edgington out of Hatboro, Pennsylvania. And again, the transfer from Elon by way of Mercer County Community College, by way of St. Joseph's.
Well-traveled young man.
3-1. Popped up, foul back, 3-2.
Or old man in college sense.
Yeah, today marks his 66th collegiate appearance, his 58th Division I appearance, his 52nd collegiate start, and his 45th Division I start. The 3-2 pitch, runner goes, swing and a pop-up foul back. In all of the Division I categories, Nick Parker has had the upper hand on Edgington in terms of career experience just barely all season. But when you include Edgington's numbers from the year of JUCO ball that he spent at Mercer County Community College, the Vikings in West Windsor, New Jersey, you include that year, Edgington has the most experience. Bouncing ball to short, should be 2. Throw to second, there's 1. Godbout has tons of time to relay to first. 6-4-3, inning over. That was tailor-made, and Edgington faces the minimum 3 batters in the first. We go to the second, 2-0 Virginia here in Atlanta as the Hoos look to sweep the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in the 2023 regular season finale.
Tech fans, we want to see all your photos and videos from today's game. So be sure to share your tweets and Instagram photos with the hashtag #TogetherWeScore for your chance to be featured on the video board. Presented by Delta.
After one complete 2-0 Hoos, thanks to Jake Geloff's 21st home run of the season. And for Virginia, as we go to the second, bottom third of the lineup, Anthony Stefan, Henry Godbout, Colin Tuft. They will face Jackson Finley, who's back to the mound. Again, Virginia making Finley throw 28 pitches in the first inning. So here is Stefan, the left-hand batter. Takes over the inside edge for a fastball strike, 0-1. Jackson Finley, who again makes his 13th start of the year. They have done this with Finley. He DHs games 1 and 2 of a weekend, then starts on the mound on Sunday, or is the case this weekend, Saturday. Pitch downstairs, 1-1. Just a 2-4 record and an ERA up over 5.5. And opponents are hitting .311 against him. One lifted left side, slicing foul away from Despina, who gives it a look, but it is over into the Georgia Tech bullpen, 1-2. Last time out, Georgia Tech, who took 2 of 3 from Duke, surprisingly last weekend. They won the Sunday finale to win the series 8-5. 3 innings, 5 runs, all earned on 7 hits. The 1-2, swing and a foul ball. The interesting thing is the guy that threw the bulk of that game to get the win, Ben King. Virginia tagged him for 4 runs on 5 hits yesterday. But he had a lot of success against Duke last weekend. Meantime, Finley took a no decision and only made it through 3. Pitch fouled away. Do it again, 1-2. Interesting, told before the game, guy that always has fascinating tidbits, Wiley Ballard, who's my counterpart for Georgia Tech. It was the first time last weekend that Finley had only started on the mound, as in he was not in the lineup or in the batting order for Georgia Tech. Pitch outside, 2-2 to Stefan. They wanted to see what would happen if he just focused on pitching for the day, and the result was not great, allowing 7 hits, 5 runs. So today, he's back in the lineup. 2-2. Swinging a ball lifted left center field, pretty well struck. Going back on it to Leo, now still going back. It's over his head and off the wall. Stefan coasting into second. He's got a double as the New Jersey native kickstarts the offense for the Who's in the second.
148th double for the Cavaliers, who came into the weekend as the national leaders in team doubles.
Remind me, does that tie the second most, or does that tie the all-time mark?
I think that's one behind, if I'm not mistaken.
Now Godbout shows bunt, drops it down in front of the plate. A good one picked up by Minnick, throws to first in time for the out. He threw Minnick right into the meat of the baseline, but was able to get out of the way just before Godbout got there. Successful sacrifice for Henry Godbout, his 3rd of the year. 2-3 on the putout. Stefan over to third base.
So yes, 148 doubles, the second most, tied for the second most in program history. That 148 previously done by the 2011 team, and of course that stacked 2010 team at 160. So some work to do for the current Cavaliers to get up to that level.
Pitch outside, 1-0. It feels like every year when Virginia gets into a sort of hot run, somebody from the media asks Coach O'Connor, hey, is this the best X you've had? Be it best offense, best pitching staff, best team. Pitch swung on, grounded towards short. This will get the run home. From the hole, Jackson throws to first in time. Nice play from Jaden Jackson, but Colin Tuft has an RBI. Drives home Anthony Stefan from third. And here in the second, 3-0 Who's. Colin Tuft continues to produce. And I would think going into ACC tournament play, Colin Tuft would pretty much be Virginia's everyday left fielder. I mean, I think the way he has swung the bat the last week to 10 days, Virginia will ride the hot hand. I mean, he continues to produce this weekend, so why not?
Yeah, making solid contact. You know, he had his first homer of the season against Louisville, so he's getting up there and getting his hacks in. So Coach O'Connor likes to see that.
2 outs, bases empty for Griff O'Farrell. What I was going to say about the team comparisons, every time someone says, usually preseason when Coach O'Connor's talking about pitching depth, they say, is this the best staff? And he will often say, well, hold on. It's either 2011 or 2015. 2015, I think, in part because of playing the results, but 2011. He'll also say for best overall team, you got to remember the 2011 team and the 2014 team, who are both very stacked. Grounded out to short, handled by Jackson, throws on to first, and the inning is over. But best offense, he will often cite the 2010 team that was absolutely stacked. So Virginia tacks on a run here in the second. We go to the bottom of the second inning. And here in Atlanta, Virginia 3, Georgia Tech nothing.
To get your official Georgia Tech game day gear at our merchandise stand, you'll be able to view our item of game, which includes a discount for all season ticket members, as well as Lexus owners who show their keys at checkout.
Virginia 3, Georgia Tech nothing as we go to the last of the second inning from Rush Chandler Stadium. And for Georgia Tech, middle third of the lineup, Despina, Giesler, Finley, after Ryan Edgington faced the minimum 3 batters in his first inning of work. Cavalier right-hander allowed a single, but erased that with an inning-ending double play. So here's Despina, the tall left fielder and transfer from just down the road in Mercer. Mercer actually Georgia Tech's prior opponent before this weekend series. Fastball away, 1-0 to Despina. Listed at 6'6", 225. Big kid. Left-handed batter. The 1-0 pitch. Up high, 2-0. Native of Lawrenceville, Georgia. And he was actually the number 1 rated third baseman in the state. And the 48th nationally ranked third baseman coming out of high school back in 2018. Fastball away, 3-0. Fifth-year senior using the extra COVID year of eligibility here at Georgia Tech. Pretty good career at Mercer, the Bears out of the SoCon. Played 194 games over 4 years. 3-0. Fastball right there for a strike, 3-1. Career 275 hitter, but 40 home runs over 4 years. Not bad for Despina. 3-1 from Edgington. Swing and a miss. Fastball by him, 3-2.
He's that prototypical Georgia Tech player with the kind of fits this ballpark. Has a slightly short porch in right center, 350 to right center. So he's the guy that you want to see get a ball in the air.
Goes the opposite way towards left. Tough racing in and coming over. That ball dunks in for a base hit. Tough. A nice strong throw to second base to hold Despina to a single.
Yeah, Tough on that one. Kind of shaded towards center, so he had a long run to have a chance at that ball. So dunks it in the right spot, and sometimes that's all you need to do to get on base.
Definitely a shorter swing than he would take with fewer than 2 strikes against him. Fastball down, 1-0. Edgington looks over his shoulder at first, now to the set at the belt. Pitch is swung on and roped, but hooked foul. Boy, John Giesler hit that ball very solidly, but he was also way out in front of it. And the count even up at a ball and a strike to the Georgia Tech first baseman. Home half of the second, 3-0 Virginia. 2-run homer from Jake Geloff in the first. RBI ground out from Colin Tuft in the second to get us to this spot. 1-1. Down and away. 2 balls and a strike. Breaking ball bounced in. Giesler 2 for 7, a couple of RBIs, couple of walks, and he has struck out 3 times. So, again, sort of all of the Georgia Tech traditional outcomes for the Marietta native. 2-1. Swinging a line drive up the middle, base hit into center field. O'Donnell gets there quickly, and we'll watch Despina back to second. 2 on, nobody out for Georgia Tech. And now Jackson Finley will try to help himself.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, Jackson Finley, he's got 5 hits this series, which is the most in the Georgia Tech lineup. So the guy you want at the plate, but it's also doing double duty on the mound.
One of his 5 hits a double. Edgington deals. Fastball high, 1-0. 17 homers, 59 RBIs. Drew Dickinson asked for time. He'll go to the mound. I understand the thought last weekend that Danny Hall and probably also pitching coach Danny Burrell was told again that they wanted to see how it'd go just starting him on the mound. But, I mean, can you imagine holding the guy out of the lineup who's got 17 homers and 59 RBIs.
Yeah, it's like that DH theory. You know, if you're a regular everyday player, sometimes you just can't get into the flow of the game. And that's obviously a rarity with Finley pitching and hitting. But
you hear that all the time about big leaguers, that if you're going to give them a day off, they want the full day off, because the half day off doesn't work. They get antsy only DHing. Think of some guys that just wear their helmet the entire time in the dugout, trying to stay locked in.
Yeah, do you go under, take some swings in the cage? I mean, gets lonely.
Despina at second, Giesler at first. Now the 1-0 from Edgington. Following the visit from Coach Drew, it's lifted right side. Sauke a long run into foul territory, and up against that short wall, just runs out of room.
Yeah, about a foot left, and he could have possibly extended over that short wall, which probably goes up to his knees out there.
In a way, it's dangerous. I mean,
yeah,
it's one thing to have a short wall, but that wall is so short, feels like there have to have been plenty of times where guys have flipped over it, because it's almost hard to get it into your field of vision. So you could run right into it, take your knees out without even realizing you were approaching it.
And then in turn landing on the concrete that's on the stand side.
How about Georgia Tech already action in their bullpen? Meantime, just 2 innings from the man at the plate right now, Jackson Finley. But Dalton Smith is throwing. 1-2. Swing and a bouncing ball foul. Picked by third base coach James Ramsey. Former ACC Player of the Year at Florida State. But native of this area, and actually a guy that some people think might end up succeeding Danny Hall as head coach. Pitch swung on and grounded foul, although Coach Hall might coach another 30 seasons. Who knows? 1-2 to Finley. 3-0 Virginia in the second. Overcast day, but actually a pretty pleasant Saturday afternoon. 72 degrees at first pitch. Edgington looks at second, the 1-2. Breaking ball grounded left side, that's through, base hit. Tuft up with it in left, around third, heading home and coming in to score Despina. Throw goes back into third as the Yellow Jackets crack the scoreboard. 3 consecutive singles to start the inning. The latest, an RBI knock from Jackson Finley, who reaches the 60 RBI plateau for the year.
Finley helping himself. Keeps the Yellow Jackets within 2 runs here, with still no outs in the bottom of the second.
Not hit overly sharply, but, you know, again, Georgia Tech, so far, it feels like they've been able to find some holes on the infield. Jaden Jackson shows bunt, thinks better of it, takes a strike, 0-1.
Yeah, with 1 run across and runners on first and second, you still have the opportunity to push 2 runners into scoring position. So we'll see if that was just a kind of a feint attempt there by Jackson, but we'll see here.
Breaking ball down, 1-1. Might have just been trying to pull Geloff in from third. Shorten up that defense. No indication of a bunt on that 0-1 pitch. Now the count even, and we'll see. Jackson has 1 sacrifice on the year. 1-1, he squares. Pushes it first base side. That's a good bunt. And Teal is going to wisely let it roll foul. That ball was hugging the chalk, but I think Teal read it wisely. He was actually standing right over the ball. Realized it was going to end up just trickling foul, and it did. So now 1-2.
Yeah, really a perfect lay down there by Jackson. Just trickles foul. But now with 2 strikes, that probably takes the bunt out of the equation here.
I mean, if Teal fields it, I don't know if definitively they get him at first.
Yeah, Jackson with his speed, I don't think there was a play. That might have been Teal's only play by letting it go foul.
1-2, just taps it foul third base side. We'll do it again. Good breaking ball from Edgington, but also good protect from Jackson. The now junior shortstop from Lanier High School in Sugar Hill, Georgia. Former Lanier Longhorn from just up the road in Gwinnett County, where he holds the career triples record, speaking of his speed. 1-2 again. Fastball low, 2-2. An even 300 hitter on the season, and Jackson, one of the few guys, at least everyday guys, that is not really known for his power. 2-2. Swinging a line drive up the middle. O'Farrell, diving stop, can't get it out of his glove quickly enough to turn two, but he will get the out at second. What a play from O'Farrell. It took 2 efforts to dig it out of the glove, but a full extension diving stop. How good has Griff O'Farrell been this weekend in Atlanta? Another one for the highlight reel, and that's big just to get an out on the play and salvage something.
An out, and it saves a run.
Yeah.
And it saves a run from Giesler. Coming from second, would have scored easily on a trickling ball into center field. But, yeah, I can't say enough about the defensive play of Griff O'Farrell in this series. It's been unbelievable.
So now first and third, 1 out. Tyler Minnick is the batter. And honestly, Minnick might be the top double play candidate in this lineup. See if Edgington can induce a ground ball. He got one to end the first. The 0-1, he shows bunt. Lunges at it, whiffs, and it's 0-2.
Safety squeeze attempt there. Giesler is about 25 feet down the line before scurrying back to third.
And again, Minnick, the catcher, probably the slowest starter in the lineup today, but also 4 sacrifice bunts to lead the team. No sign of one there, and they take it off with 2 strikes. Pitch fouled away. We'll do it again, 0-2. Always a good idea to run that first and third bunt play if you can get the runner home and set up a chance to score another run by getting a guy to second with 2 outs. Minnick hitless in the series, 0 for 3, a walk and a run scored. Edgington from the belt deals. Little squibber out in front of the plate. Teal will pick it up and take the out at first. Run comes home to score from third. Edgington and Teal flipping places at the plate. And I think Teal wasn't sure if he would have had a play at home. Went ahead and took the short out at first. A swinging bunt that essentially does that first and third bunt play. RBI for Minnick is his 14th, and it's now a 1-run ball game.
Yeah, I think Teal had a play there at home.
I agree. I think it was just awkward for him in the angle with the pitcher running past him to cover and not knowing where the runner is from third.
Yeah.
Slider from Edgington high to balk him 1-0. Because, again, he has his back to the runner, but can see Edgington going past him. And you got to make a split-second decision. Otherwise, you lose the opportunity to get the out at first. 1-0, fastball strike, 1-1. From our vantage point, the bird's eye view behind home plate, we could see that, yes,
for sure,
had he spun, Edgington would have been there in time. Runner at second, 2 outs. The 1-1. Slider bounced foul. Outside of third, 1-2. Now as Smith continues to throw, I almost wonder if he's coming in to start the third inning. He's been warming up all inning for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's kind of the storyline of this game, just to see how both coaches are going to utilize their starting pitchers. Because from the Virginia perspective, we could have a game early next week.
Pitch swung on, popped up on the infield. Edgington is calling for it, now called off by Anderson. He makes the catch, and the inning is over. So Balcom pops out to end the inning, but Georgia Tech 2 runs home in the frame. And at the end of now 2 complete, it's a 1-run ball game. Virginia 3, Georgia Tech 2.
next vehicle purchase quick, easy, and convenient with the Jim Ellis Expressway. Visit JimEllis.com to search and compare thousands of vehicles. Find a vehicle and start your purchase online. Jim Ellis Automotive, proud supporter of Georgia Tech baseball, and where you can always expect the best.
My name is Jack Rubenstein. I'm a catcher doing a master's in real estate development, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'll just miss coming to the field and playing ball and being with my friends. Hopefully get a job in commercial real estate. Yeah, honestly, I think my greatest memories are going to happen this year when we win the ACC tournament. So it's yet to happen, but looking forward to it. The message to all of my teammates here at Georgia Tech is just that I love playing with you guys, and I can't wait to see how far you take it with your careers.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Now pitching for your Yellow Jackets, the junior from Valdosta, Georgia, number 6, Dalton Smith.
Somewhere that never should have been in the Thunder Roll. In the Thunder Roll. Every light is burning in a house.
Leading off the third inning for Virginia, center fielder number 2, Ethan O'Donnell.
Left-hander Dalton Smith takes over for Georgia Tech as we go to the third inning. So again, a very short start for Jackson Finley. And Smith is on for the 17th time this season. 2-3 with an ERA of 9.85. Left-hander deals a swing and a miss by O'Donnell, 0-1. 3-2 Virginia. Georgia Tech a couple of runs to pull back within one in the last half inning. Now breaking ball outside to O'Donnell, 1-1. O'Donnell, Geloff, Kyle Teal. Against the junior from Valdosta, Georgia, Dalton Smith, 6'1" left-hander. Misses low and away, 2-1. This is the fourth time in Smith's career that he has faced Virginia. Third time here in Atlanta, also pitched in last year's series in Charlottesville. Bouncing ball over to the diving first baseman, Giesler Fields, flips to Smith. Nice play from John Giesler to retire Ethan O'Donnell for one away.
Third baseman number 22, Jake Geloff.
Smith just a third of an inning against Virginia in Charlottesville last year. In the April 2nd, 13-9 Virginia win. 3 runs on 4 hits over a third of an inning. Geloff, big cut, fouls it back, 0-1. So we'll see if Virginia has similar success against the sort of funky delivery left-hander Dalton Smith. Would not say this is the prototypical windup. Pitch fouled back. 0-2. Geloff homered his first time up to start the scoring. 2-run shot in the first. 3 infielders to the left of second. Breaking ball down, 1-2. Again, heavily used, his 17th appearance of the year. Pitch outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. 24 innings, 24 strikeouts, but 20 walks. So command has been an issue for Smith. Now his 2-2. Swing, and he popped it up foul right side and out of play. Again, yesterday, Georgia Tech using both King and Bussey for extended outings. They are Georgia Tech's top two relievers. Geloff swings, skies one right center field. Again, going to chase back the center fielder back to the track, but room for DeLeo to make the catch. Got a lot of it, but not all of it. 2 down.
The catcher, number 3, Kyle Teal.
So now Teal, 2 outs, bases empty. Walked his first time up. Smith's pitch. Line drive towards short. Little leap from the shortstop. Jaden Jackson makes the catch in a quick 1-2-3 inning for Dalton Smith. As he comes on in relief, sets down O'Donnell, Geloff, and Teal. We go to the bottom of the third after 2.5 in Atlanta. Virginia 3, Georgia Tech 2.
Fans, today's promotion is our commemorative last game ball, dedicated to our special moment in history today. Be sure to stick around until the conclusion of today's game, when we will be giving these out while supplies last. All right, fans, it's time for a fun game of Ted Wordle. Here's how it works. Buzz is having trouble figuring out his daily Wordle, and we need Natalie help figuring out what the word is. We will show you what Buzz currently has completed, and you have to solve the Wordle. All right, Natalie, are you ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Here is your Wordle. Here's your in. He is a Georgia Tech outfielder. He has money and jewelry on his nightstand.
Jake DeLeo.
That is correct. Looks like we have time for another Wordle, so here's your next one. He is a pitcher.
Bauman or Bauman?
Oh, that's incorrect. The answer is Dawson Brown. Well, Natalie, thank you for playing, and Buzz appreciates your help. Go check it.
See if right-hander Brian Edgington can put together a bounce-back inning for Virginia. Georgia Tech put up a couple of runs against him in the second. We now go to the bottom of the third. Still a 3-2 Virginia lead. Wahoos with 2 in the first, 1 in the second. And Edgington, who is at 47 pitches through a couple of innings, will now begin his second trip through the lineup. Campbell, DeLeo, Reed for Georgia Tech. First pitch, fastball up and in. 1 ball, no strikes. Campbell lined out to first base, his first time up. It's the right-hander from Hatboro, Pennsylvania, Brian Edgington. 6-foot-tall righty deals. And a line drive foul into Virginia's dugout off the first base line. 1-1. Virginia, the orange uniform tops today, white pants, blue cap with the orange brim. Georgia Tech, the white uniforms, jackets in blue cursive across the chest, white pants, and the blue cap. 1-1. Just missed. I think it was a splitter from Edgington, not where he intended it for it to go, but I still think close enough to have been called a strike, but did not get the call. Now the 2-1. There's a fastball strike. 2-2. The number 23 etched into the turf behind home plate in white, honoring Mark Teixeira Day at the ballpark. They retired his jersey number. Bouncing ball right side, a foul ball. Do it again, 2-2. Just the third jersey number retired at this ballpark. Teixeira's 23. Jason Varitek's 33. I had to ask about the third, which is Jim Luck, the longtime baseball coach here. And he was the head coach for 20 years. Pitch, strike 3 called over the outside edge. Fastball to set down Campbell. That is, interestingly enough, Brian Edgington's first strikeout today here in the third.
It's a credit to this Georgia Tech lineup. Even Nick Parker on Thursday night, I don't think he recorded his first strikeout until the fifth inning. Fourth or fifth inning, right?
Virginia did have 12 yesterday, 8 from early. Such an interesting start from early in allowing 9 hits but striking out 8.
Yeah, Coach O'Connor was very complimentary of him after the game.
Swing and a miss by DeLeo, 0-1.
Kind of battled back. You know, he had that less than ideal first inning with a couple of home runs, but really kept him in the ball game, for lack of a better term.
It's so interesting. I mean, he had some at-bats where he was hit really hard. But then he had at-bats where he was as dominant as anyone has been all year.
Sure.
Where he just had the Georgia Tech hitters baffled. Now 1-1 to DeLeo, the pitch. Outside edge for a strike, 1-2. One out, base is empty. Edgington rocks and fires. Ooh. Oh, he did get the strike 3 call. That was a muted and delayed strike 3 call from John Mang. That was bizarre.
Yeah, there was definitely no signal. You know, there was probably a sound coming from the umpire there, but there was not a signal until we saw DeLeo walk off.
It was like he forgot.
Yeah, that it was almost like the pitch surprised him.
It was clearly a strike.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
2 outs, base is empty. Reed, a cut and a miss. And, you know, it's not as if his strike 3 call is always muted, because as we saw on the prior batter, he has a pretty obvious one. The 0-1, fouled away, 0-2. Maybe late night last night for John Mang. Quick turnaround from the 6 o'clock game to the noon start. Now Edgington's 0-2. And strike 3 called. Ring him up. Edgington strikes out the side in the third. We go to the fourth. After 3 complete in Atlanta, it's Virginia 3, Georgia Tech 2.
Shake Shack is a proud supporter of the Yellow Jackets. Enjoy a post-game treat at one of our 7 Atlanta locations, including our newest West Side Shack, for a taste of Shake Shack's classic Angus beef burgers, crispy chicken, hand-spun milkshakes, house-made lemonades, and brand new Flint-based Veggie Shack and custard. Order ahead on the Shack app or visit ShakeShack.com. The Techway is Georgia Tech's official NIL partner, with the mission to empower Georgia Tech student athletes to achieve their full potential in the realm of name, image, and likeness. You can support the Techway and our student athletes with a monthly subscription or through your business by visiting thetechway.com.
Top of the fourth in Atlanta. Dalton Smith back for his second inning of work. He'll face Ethan Anderson, Casey Salke, and Anthony Stefan. It's Virginia 3, Georgia Tech 2. And now for the play-by-play, here is Scott Fitzgerald.
Thanks, Channing. Anderson will lead off the top of the fourth here, batting from the right side, switch hitting first baseman for Virginia. Takes the first pitch in there for a called strike on the outside corner. And this batted ball over to third base, easily fielded by Balcom, and a throw over to Geisler for the first out of the inning.
Tell you, he made that look easy, but that was not an easy pick. Sort of a short hop on him.
Should have been an easier play, but made it hard on himself. But luckily, the first baseman Geisler, he's a big target over there and can pick it as well. So that brings up Sauke, first pitch swinging. Ball driven deep to center field, but DeLeo under it for the second out of the inning. So 2 quick outs for the Cavaliers here in the top of the fourth.
Number 16, Anthony Stefan.
That'll bring up the Cavalier designated hitter, Anthony Stefan. Stefan had a double in the second inning to lead off the Cavalier rally. So left-on-left matchup here for Dalton Smith versus Stefan. And the 1-0 pitch is in there for a called strike. 1-1 now. Smith working quickly. The 1-1 in the dirt to Stefan. Stefan 3 for 7 in the series here versus Georgia Tech. And fastball looked a bit high from our vantage point, but confirmed here by the TrackMan display that hit the inside corner. So that brings it to 2-2 to Stefan. Fastball outside. Gotta love what you see from Smith here. He's just taking the ball and throwing it. So 3-2 now to Stefan and ball 4. So Stefan aboard for the second time today.
Seems like a lot of guys that try to utilize that deception with the sort of funky delivery. They tend to also be the guys that want to get the ball and get right back to work. They want to get into a rhythm because they're the guys that are looking for weak contact. They're not trying to put anybody away.
First pitch to Godbout, foul down the left field line, just in between the third baseman Balkman and Coach McMullen in the third base box.
It's almost like if what you're going to do to be successful is mix pitches, you don't want to give the hitter a time to think about what might the next pitch be.
Sure. The 0-1 Godbout, ground ball to second base. Easy play for Christian Campbell, who steps on second for the third out of the inning. So 4 batters face for Dalton Smith. Gets Georgia Tech in the dugout. Middle of the fourth, Virginia leads Georgia Tech 3-2.
44 Pro is proud to be the official bat, glove, and protective equipment supplier of the Yellow Jackets. Use promo code GT10 to get 10% off 44 Pro custom gear at 44ProGloves.com. And now it's time for the Fan Cam Wheel, presented by Funko. Let's see what we've got today. It looks like we've got the hype cam. It's time to get on your feet because it's time to get high.
Back here in Midtown Atlanta, where the Cavaliers lead Georgia Tech 3-2. Yellow Jackets will have Angelo Despagna, John Giesler, and Jackson Finley facing Brian Edgington in his 4th inning of work here. Struck out the side to end the 3rd. All looking strikeouts. First pitch swinging is Despagna, and this ball's going to trickle all the way to the wall in between O'Donnell and Sauke, and stand-up double for Angelo Despagna. His 12th double of the season. Virginia and Georgia Tech, 2 of the top 2 doubles teams in the country coming into this series. Virginia, of course, number 1 in the nation. And Despagna able to add to that total. So that brings up John Giesler. First pitch from Edgington. Miss it. We call that a strike. Strike on the outside corner.
Was curious to see if a base runner here was going to prompt activity in Virginia's bullpen. And there's been a little stirring. Nobody throwing yet.
Pickoff attempt at second. Edgington to Godbout, not in time. Giesler diving back safely. Yeah, some walking around, but nothing prominent over there. So 0-1 now to Giesler. And just misses on the outside corner to the right-handed hitting Giesler.
Looks like Jack O'Connor now doing the band stretching. So he would be the first man up.
So 1-1 now to Giesler. And the pitch. Fouled off the foot. In some pain there is Giesler as he strides around the batter's box, shaking off a leg.
Well, let's say Virginia does have to turn around and play on Tuesday. Then you start to wonder who would be the starter for that game. And Jack O'Connor's name would come to mind, having only thrown an inning out of the bullpen so far this weekend.
1-2 pitch hits the dirt. Teal hops on it, throw to third, and in there, taking a base on a wild pitch is Giesler. So runner now at third base, no outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Pretty much everything you could do there from Kyle Teal. Good block, kept the ball in front of you. Had to navigate himself around Giesler in the batter's box.
But even made an accurate throw, but just what else can you do?
Yeah. So 2-2 now to Giesler. Pitch from Edgington. Fly to right. Sauke underneath it. This should be deep enough to score the run from third. The throw from Sauke comes in, not cut off. And in there safely with the sacrifice fly from Giesler. Angelo Despagna scores. So we're all knotted at 3 here in the bottom of the 4th.
RBI number 36 for Giesler, and that's just good execution. Got a ball up in the air and deep enough to right. You'd think that given Georgia Tech's propensity to hit the ball in the air, sacrifice flies would be one of their strengths this season. And Giesler doing the job there.
So that brings up Jackson Finley, the aforementioned pitcher, now turned DH. First pitch in there from Edgington is a called strike. 81-mile-an-hour changeup.
Georgia Tech's 30th sack fly of the year. Just for comparison's sake, Virginia has 25.
Pitch from Edgington misses on the outside corner, a fastball. There are dual arms now warming in the Virginia pen. It looks like, as you mentioned, Channing, Jack O'Connor also up as a right-hander, Kevin Jaxel. So 1-1 swing and a miss from Finley. And ahead now is Edgington, 1-2 with the count.
And it makes sense. I mean, those two guys going through very different warm-up procedures. Jacksel is getting loose as quickly as possible, and I think that's if Virginia decides to pull Edgington before the end of the inning. I think if we get to the 5th, there would be a decent chance, depending on what Virginia does offensively, O'Connor would come in to start a clean inning in the 5th.
Jacksel had an inning in the 3rd on Thursday night through 18 pitches, so he should be fresh. 1-2 now from Edgington. Misses. Breaking ball on the outside corner. Not by much.
Yeah, that's a really good pitch from Edgington. Ahead 1-2. Slider that starts over the outside corner, breaks just off the outside edge. But, again, Georgia Tech's hitters have done a pretty good job taking close pitches against him all day long. Whereas I think last week those are pitches Louisville was chasing.
2-2 from Edgington. Ground ball to short. O'Farrell with the backhand. On the run, over to Anderson, and unable to come up with it. That ball trickled to the wall. Anderson up with it, throws it to second. Not in time. So Finley, tough play for O'Farrell there on the backhand. His throw wide for Anderson to handle, and that was on the right side of the bag. So even the backup of Kyle Teal, who hustles down pretty much at every ground ball with nobody on base, that's nothing you can do there. He's going to take the base on the error.
So now all of a sudden that's the go-ahead run in scoring position with just one out. And Georgia Tech basically gets Jackson and Minnick 2 chances to get 1 base hit to try and take the lead for the first time today.
So they score that a single.
They gave him a base hit, and then a throwing error advances him to second.
Makes sense. Tough play in the hole, like I said, with O'Farrell, who's made those plays routinely all series. But that's credit the hitter there for the base hit and advance on the error.
Yeah, to go straight error there would have been really tough. It's about to be pitch number 73 for Edgington now.
First pitch to Jaden Jackson. Misses outside. Fastball. So runner on second, 1 out. We're all knotted back up at 3. The 1-0 to Jackson. And a called strike. A slight offer there from Jackson, but indication from home plate umpire John Mang that was in there anyway. So 1-1 now to the Yellow Jacket shortstop. And the pitch, curveball, misses low. So 2-1 hitters count here for Jackson, who in his first turn at the plate grounded to a fielder's choice to the shortstop. Two 2-1 from Edgington. This one fouled down the right field line.
In the dugout, Brian O'Connor just went up to Drew Dickinson. They were having a conversation. I've got to imagine they're discussing what is the end point for Edgington's start, how many batters, or at what point in the Georgia Tech lineup, or at what situation.
72 pitches now for Edgington. That's a 2-2 in there for a called strike. Good pitch there from Edgington, and a bigger pitch because that's the second out of the inning. And all 4 of his strikeouts coming in the last 2 innings, and all 4 looking. So Tyler Minnick, the catcher for the Yellow Jackets.
He had that little squibber that brought home a run, the swinging bunt. But I think based on that strikeout, Edgington just earned himself another batter.
And finds the outside corner again. He's ahead here 0-1. They've got Rubenstein up on the board, which we must have missed that.
Yeah, he is pinch hitting for Minnick.
Pinch hitter. Rubenstein started last night's game behind the plate. And the 0-1 pitch misses high.
honestly, the internal PA has been impossible to miss. So without hearing anything, the announcement of the pinch hitter, I wouldn't have even thought to look for one.
And the catcher's always tricky because if he comes in as a defensive replacement in the inning before, sometimes you don't notice with the equipment on. As Rubenstein fouls another pitch back, 1-2 now to the new Georgia Tech catcher.
Yeah, like you said, it started last night 0 for 4, a couple of strikeouts, but veteran and 281 hitter for the season.
1-2 now from Edgington, and another foul ball.
Rubenstein, who spent 4 years at Emory, did about all you could at the Division III level before transferring over to Georgia Tech last year. Both guys, Minnick and Rubenstein, I think have been, at least my opinion this weekend, they've been really good defensive catchers. Neither seems to be a clear-cut standout offensively, but Rubenstein's numbers marginally better.
So line drive, base hit up the middle. O'Donnell up with it in center. His throw to the plate is not in time. And Georgia Tech takes the lead. Jackson Finley slides in safely on a base hit from Jack Rubenstein to center field.
Well, again, Danny Hall playing that card early, pinch hitting Rubenstein for Minnick. But it works as he comes up with the pinch hit RBI single.
So looking back now at the live stats, it does have him as a defensive replacement in the top of the 4th inning.
Interesting.
So.
Well, that's kind of curious then.
Yeah, there could be some sort of injury, splitting up the duties. You don't know there. But that will spell the end of Brian Edgington's day as Coach O'Connor begins the slow walk from the Cavaliers' first base dugout. Has not signaled, but it will be a right-hander. It's just a matter if it'll be Jaxel, the freshman righty, to his fellow classman Jack O'Connor. So John Mang comes out to the mound to hurry things along, and Coach O'Connor makes a signal.
My thought would be Jaxel, right? I mean, he's been the guy that, and now we'll get a look as the gate swings open. It is Jaxel. I mean, he's been the guy that has been more of a stopper. I think, again, ideally Virginia would want O'Connor to start a clean inning.
Yeah, and that's what he's done with him in his relief appearances prior to this. So we'll tell you all about Kevin Jaxel in a minute. We'll be back right after this. 4-3 Georgia Tech in the bottom of the 4th inning.
New pitcher for Virginia here in the home half of the 4th. Kevin Jaxel comes on, 23rd appearance of the season for the first-year right-hander. And Jaxel 2-0 with a 3.42 earned run average, 23 2/3 innings of work. He has struck out 30. He has walked 5. And opponents hitting .250 against the right-hander. 23 hits allowed in 23 and 2/3 innings. First year from Congers, New York, out of Don Bosco Prep in New Jersey, and he comes on to face Brant Baucom with 2 outs in the 4th.
He'll have a runner on first, and that's Rubenstein, who just came up with the base hit to give Georgia Tech the lead. First pitch swinging down left field line. It's in there for a base hit. Colin Tuff comes up with it as the relay into O'Farrell, and Baucom with a double greets Kevin Jaxel. First pitch swinging.
Sort of odd contact. I mean, it felt like that ball hung up there forever, but Colin Tuff was so far off the left field line that fly ball that was not hit overly deep and not hit overly well. It almost looked like he jammed him up somewhat with a fastball, but he dunked it in.
Yeah, you could hear the reaction from the crowd. It was kind of like almost a surprise that that dropped in. So 2 outs. Jaxel will face Christian Campbell, Yellow Jacket leadoff hitter, who's 0 for 2, was a strikeout victim of Brian Edgington in the 3rd inning, his first strikeout of the game for Edgington. Pitch from Jaxel, diving stop by Godbout at second, over to first to make the play, and the Cavaliers escape with just 2 runs coming across, but not before Georgia Tech takes a lead. It's 4-3 at the end of 4 here in Midtown Atlanta.
And Ethan O'Donnell. All right, fans, it's time for the field tune-up. Thank you to the Georgia Tech grounds crew for making McNeese Baseball Park the best playing surface in college baseball.
Charlie Blackman arrived at Georgia Tech Junior College in the fall of 2006 as a pitcher, but a bout with elbow tendonitis prompted him to switch to the outfield. Suffice to say, the move worked out. As a redshirt junior, Blackman hit .396 with 8 home runs and 25 stolen bases. The Colorado Rockies selected him in the 2nd round of the 2008 Major League Draft. In 12 seasons with the Rockies, Blackman has been named an All-Star 4 times, and twice he's won the NL Silver Slugger Award as the top player in his position. Today's Pipeline to the Pros is brought to you by the plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVACR technicians of UA Local Union 72.
Leading off the 5th inning for the Cavaliers, left fielder.
Back here in Atlanta, in the Flats, on the campus of Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets with a 4-3 advantage after 4 innings. We lead off the top of the 5th with Colin Tuft. And we'll go back to the top of the lineup. O'Farrell, O'Donnell will follow. First pitch to Tuft is a ball. Dalton Smith still in the game for Georgia Tech, his 3rd inning of work. And the 1-0 misses outside in the other batter's box. Dalton Smith is only his season high is 3 innings pitch. He's got 2 under his belt this afternoon. 2-0 pitch to Tuft in there for a called strike.
Georgia Tech, a team that on the mound this year has had a lot of guys chop up games 2 and 3 innings at a time, but today's going to be a different test.
Swing and a miss from Tuft there, evens the count at 2-2.
Considering now with a 4-3 lead, the guys they would go to would be Ben King and Terry Bussey, but they used both yesterday for 60 and 55 pitches respectively. No chance we're seeing either of those guys.
And the pitch there from Smith, low and outside, so that'll bring the count full.
It seems like Jackson Vaughn would be in line to be the guy that they would use for the final bulk inning.
And swing and a miss there from Tuft as Dalton Smith gets his first strikeout of the ball game.
Then again, Smith is sort of in cruise control right now. I will say it's a nice contrast from the starter Finley. So backing up Finley with Smith, two very different pitchers. Pretty good strategic move.
So that brings up O'Farrell. First pitch to the Cavaliers shortstop is in there for a called strike. O'Farrell 1 for 2 today. Had a single to lead off the game, his second leadoff single of the series. And 1-1 pitch from Smith misses outside. 81-mile-an-hour changeup. 4-3 is our score. Georgia Tech with 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th inning to take their first lead of the game. And fly ball down the right field line. Tracking is Stephen Reed, and he makes the catch just on the warning track of the right field foul line.
He almost overran it.
Yeah.
He had to lunge back with the glove across his body to make the catch. He was in a full-out sprint to get to it, but then realized he had gone a step too far.
So another inning in which Smith has retired the first 2 Cavaliers. And that'll bring up Ethan O'Donnell, seeking his first hit of the day. And this one roped into right field. This could be extra bases. O'Donnell will round first, but chooses to stop as the throw incoming from Stephen Reed is on target and likely would have got him. So either way, a 2-out base runner for the Cavaliers here in the top of the 5th.
Well, O'Donnell's at bat begins the second trip through against Smith. And for a guy who operates on deception, he has not been holding anything back. I mean, he's thrown the fastball, the breaking ball, and the changeup. So we'll see if Geloff can make an adjustment.
First pitch to Geloff is almost a pitch out in terms of pitching location. Misses wildly. Geloff with the Thunder already in this game. A 2-run homer back in the first inning. Broke his own. The check over at O'Donnell at first is unsuccessful, but broke his own single season record for RBIs with his 82nd and 83rd of the season. 1-0 pitch misses outside. Being very careful here is Smith. Both pitches have been in the left-handed hitter's batter's box. So 2-0 now to Geloff. In there for a called strike. Fastball. So 2-1 to Geloff.
Sort of a generous strike call from John Mang, and I think Geloff just asked, is that the outer reaches of the strike zone?
2-1 misses inside, and that could have been the makeup for.
You could hear the Georgia Tech fans groaning. That looked like a better pitch than the prior one.
Yeah, that 2-0 strike was more of like a 3-0 strike.
Yeah.
So either way, 3-1 now to Geloff. And the check over again at first base. No tag required as O'Donnell's in there easily.
So here in 2021, Virginia put up 5 runs on 4 hits against Smith without Smith recording an out.
And this one fly down the right field line, but that'll get out of play.
And then last year in Charlottesville, he only made it through a third of an inning, allowing 3 runs on 4 hits and a walk. So historically, Virginia has peppered Dalton Smith, but today, completely different story.
Sure. 3-2, 2 outs to Geloff, and that'll be ball 4. So Jake walks for his 40th time. And the Cavaliers have runners at first and second with 2 outs here in the top of the 5th, and that'll bring up the scorching hot Kyle Teal.
And Smith was frustrated with himself. I mean, he spiked a fastball in the dirt, obviously not where he wanted to throw that pitch.
First pitch to Teal, fouled, back, a changeup.
And it's funny to say, I mean, I think part of his frustration was he wanted to force Geloff to put it in play, which, again, is crazy to think about a guy with 83 RBIs, but Teal has been the hottest batter in this series. And I think Smith had decided he'd prefer to face Geloff, but now he's got to contend with Teal.
And this one lined to third base. Man, couldn't hit it any harder than that. 100 miles an hour off the bat, but it's snared by third baseman Brent Bachman. And that'll end the Cavalier threat here in the fifth. 4-3 is your score. Georgia Tech in front. We will be back after this.
Have you kicked your copier lately? Do you need help with your printer? EGP Document Solutions is here to help as one of the most trusted vendors for all office technology solutions. With over 40 years serving the Atlanta community, EGP is the official office supply company of Georgia Tech Athletics. Visit egpatlanta.com for more information. Secure your spot for the 2023-2024 basketball season now. Be the first to renew your season tickets for the upcoming new regime with Coach Stoudemire. Season tickets include 10 ACC home matchups and some of the best seats in the Thriller Dome. Secure your seats now at redlandrec.com/tickets.
Back here in Atlanta, Georgia, for the regular season finale here at Russ Chandler Stadium. Georgia Tech leads the Cavaliers 4-3 going into the bottom of the fifth inning. Kevin Jacksel still on the mound for Cavaliers. He got the last out of the fourth inning, and first pitch swinging is Jake DeLeo to right field. Casey Sauke back off the wall. This will allow DeLeo to get to second. He's going to try for third. Throw by Sauke in, and standing up with a triple is Jake DeLeo to get the bottom of the fifth going for Georgia Tech.
That was a strong throw from Sauke, but as he tried to play it in the air, that ball just passed him and off the wall in the air. Took a pretty big deflection off of the wall and far enough over into right field that only Sauke could get to it off of the wall, and so that meant he had a long way to go to retrieve it. And as a result, DeLeo in at third base standing up.
Only the fifth triple given up by Cavalier pitching this year. So first pitch from Jacksel to Stephen Reed is a swing and a miss.
Two games we've got an eye on in the ACC. Duke and Miami scoreless in the second. Clemson leads North Carolina 2-0 in the third.
And fouled off there by Reed.
We were the only noon start, so a lot of games getting underway at 1. And again, Virginia would love to see Clemson lose just for a NCAA tournament positioning picture standpoint. And for Duke and Miami, Virginia would love to not have to say they shared the Coastal Division title.
Pitch by Jacksel way up high and tight. Ducking is Reed.
So a Duke win today would help Virginia's cause in that they would finish a game clear of Miami, regardless of Virginia's outcome here.
1-2 pitch from Jacksel's fouled straight back. And the interesting thing about, you say that Virginia hasn't won the Coastal Division since 2011, which is surprising to some people, and it should be. But, man, they've been top 2 in the conference for the majority of – and this ball, wild pitch here from Jacksel. That will allow Stephen Reed to score.
I don't think I've ever seen this. There's a gap between where the netting ends and the top of the backstop. The ball bounced cleanly right through that gap and back into the walkway in front of the first row of seats.
Yeah, DeLeo was essentially awarded home because there was no real play on the wild pitch. So that allows Reed, first pitch swinging after the wild pitch, dumps the ball into center. And the first 2 batters against Jacksel here have reached as Reed, his first hit of the day.
Tough break for Reed, who doesn't get an RBI.
And that'll bring Brian O'Connor out from the dugout, and we'll see a new pitcher. And it looks like Bradley Hodges and O'Connor still warming from before. That's Jack O'Connor still warming from before.
Oh, Despina, the one lefty in the lineup. If you're going to bring in Hodges, this would seemingly be the time. So I got to imagine that that's the move he's going to make.
And John Mang, the home plate umpire, making his slow walk out to the pitcher's mound to hurry things along for the Cavalier infield that's all huddled around Jacksel and Coach O'Connor. No signal yet. I guess there was a signal in there, but that will bring Bradley Hodges out of the pen.
It's interesting. Again, sort of like his strike 3 call. He did the thing where he asked the umpire to make the signal, and John Mang didn't. But nevertheless, the message was somehow relayed.
So we'll take a quick break, but Bradley Hodges will be the Cavaliers' new pitcher. Georgia Tech with a 5-3 lead in the bottom of the 5th inning here in Midtown Atlanta.
Your attention, please. Now pitching for the Cavaliers, the freshman, number 10, Bradley Hodges.
Bradley Hodges, the new pitcher for Virginia. 2-0 record, a 4.65 earned run average. And he is on for the 18th time this season. Does have a save, 31 innings, 36 strikeouts to only 22 walks. He has allowed 30 hits in his 31 innings. And Hodges will take over to face left-hand hitting Angelo Despina. Runner at first, nobody out in the 5th inning.
Despina with 2 hits already. First pitch to the left-handed hitting Despina is in there for a called strike from Hodges. Nice breaking pitch. 12 to 6 variety. Short lead off first for Stephen Reed. The pitch from Hodges misses somewhere, but that was a fastball that seemingly painted the outside corner.
Yeah, John Mang just missed one. I mean, that was a good pitch.
So 1-1 now, and this one roped into right center field. Sauke will come up with it. Stephen Reed will only make it to second base, but runners at first and second now, as the first three batters of the fifth for Georgia Tech have reached base. And it looks like Hodges will remain now with the right-handed hitter, John Giesler.
Well, Virginia had the shift on against Despina, 3 infielders to the right of second, and he hit it between the shortstop and second baseman, which is a pretty tight space, but he did so.
Yep, found the hole. So Hodges' first pitch to Giesler's fouled straight back. 5-3, Georgia Tech, eerily similar to that mid-game push that Georgia Tech had yesterday, where the Cavaliers were able to secure the comeback victory. The 0-1 from Hodges is in there for a called strike. Runners on first and second. Hodges with his second batter face this inning. And that's John Giesler, who's got a hit and a sacrifice. And this one laced into right field. Sauke up with it. He'll be able to keep the runner from scoring from third, but much to the dismay of the Cavaliers, the bases are loaded for the Yellow Jackets with 4 straight hits.
Yeah, and to be honest, Scott, it's been 4 hard-hit balls. These are not cheap shots from Georgia Tech. They're hitting it on a line, and triple, then 3 consecutive singles, all hit well. They have 12 hits in the game.
It's going to bring up Jackson Finley, the designated hitter, turned designated hitter from the pitcher. And first pitch is a changeup, swung on and missed. Nice pitch there from Hodges. So the 0-1 pitch from Hodges. It's in there for a called strike. Another changeup.
Yeah, and that one, I was about to say, Georgia Tech's success in this inning has come against fastballs, top of the zone. That was a changeup, top of the zone, but again, not in a well-executed location. I mean, that's right at the letters.
I'd imagine he did not want to throw it there. And that'll be strike 3 called. Big strikeout there from Bradley Hodges. As another looking strikeout at the expense of the Yellow Jackets.
Crowd groaning about it. And, you know, again, I think a big part of it is just the no call from the umpire and how long it takes to make any kind of signal. Because it almost, he does make a sound. He barks out immediately strike, but the crowd watching, all they see is no reaction.
So 1 out now, and Jaden Jackson steps in. That's 5 strikeouts for Cavalier pitching today. All have been looking, which is interesting to note because going into the weekend, as the pitch to Jackson, fouled straight back, going into the weekend, the most strikeouts looking by any staff in the country. So that's holding true in today's contest for Virginia pitching.
I was going to say, it's been a strength of Virginia, but the fact that all 5 today, that's just an anomaly. I mean, that's an oddity of baseball.
0-2 now to Jackson. Swing and a miss. So 2 big strikeouts. That one's swinging. So 2 outs. And really all you can ask there from Hodges with the bases loaded. And that's going to bring up Jack Rubenstein, who has 2 RBIs today. Had the single to center that gave Georgia Tech the lead back in the 4th inning.
That was a great sequence on Jaden Jackson. I mean, from the bottom of the zone over the outside part of the plate to a fastball at 91 up above the letters in consecutive pitches, really changing planes well.
First pitch to Rubenstein misses high.
Yeah, and again, Rubenstein came on defensively. Not sure why Tyler Minnick was lifted from the game early.
1-0 to Rubenstein. Ground ball to third. Geloff up with it. He'll go to first and records the out as Anderson snares it and limits the damage. So nice job there by Bradley Hodges to just get 1 run, and Georgia Tech leaves 3 runners on base. But the Yellow Jackets have a 5-3 lead after 5 innings here in Atlanta.
Season ticket memberships and renewals for the 2023 football season are now available. Buy your ticket today to secure your spot for a new era of Georgia Tech football with Coach Brinsky. Visit ramblinrec.com/tickets for more information. Fans, it's time for classic. That's right, it's time for our potato sack race. Turn your attention toward the third base line, where we have 3 contestants ready to hop their way to victory. We have Braden, Caitlin, and Amanda. Yellow Jackets, are you ready? On your mark, get set, go! And it looks like Braden takes the early lead. Can Caitlin and Amanda catch up? It's coming down to the wire. Will he hold on to the hat? And I think we have a winner. We're giving it to Amanda. Congratulations. You're the winner of the potato sack race.
Back out on the mound for the Yellow Jackets will be Dalton Smith in his 4th inning of work. Already has matched his season high with 3 innings and have been 3 very productive innings to that. And he'll face Ethan Anderson, Casey Sauke, and Anthony Stefan here in the top of the 6th inning. Anderson will bat from the right side, and first pitch swinging, fouls the ball off down the left field line. Hits off his foot, and he does the required walk around to kind of shake it off. But he's good to go. And so is Dalton Smith, who's been working very quickly. And that pitch misses low to even the count at 1-1 to Anderson. 1-1 pitch to Anderson is just misses low and outside. Anderson looking for his first hit of the day. He's 1 for 1 walk back in the 1st inning. And this one, ground ball to third base. It's a slow roller picked up by Smith, and no chance to get Anderson at first base, and he will be aboard with a infield single.
You know, momentum-wise, Virginia limiting the damage to 1 run last half inning could be very big. I mean, this is the same separation Georgia Tech held its lead going into the 6th inning yesterday when Virginia rallied to come from behind. And I feel like that was really big from Hodges to keep it at a 2-run deficit. Pretty impressive work as well to do so. But also a break there with that leadoff single.
And lined into left field is base hit for Casey Sauke. So the first 2 batters for the Cavaliers have reached. Back-to-back singles from Ethan Anderson and now Casey Sauke. That one was just laced 106 off the bat. Lands right in front of center fielder Jake DeLeo.
We talked about it some yesterday. Anthony Stefan has seemed to find himself in the heart of every rally of late for Virginia.
He's got a big opportunity here with no outs, and he's going to square to bunt. This is fielded by Smith. He's going to look at third, and he's going to go to first. So a successful sacrifice bunt from Anthony Stefan moves 2 runners into scoring position, and more importantly, those 2 runners could tie the game.
Second sacrifice bunt of the year for Tony, and I think if you asked him, he would have liked to have angled that one a little bit more towards either third or first than he did. Smith did have a chance to make a play at third base, decided against it. Would have been very close.
The pitch to Henry Godbout is the ball.
He had the pacing right, just the angle was a little bit more directly at the pitcher than he might have liked.
Yeah, his ball all the way. Like you said, if that's a little bit more towards the line, that's a much tougher play. But either way, gets the job done. This one through the hole left side. Henry Godbout with a base hit. This will score Ethan Anderson. Casey Sauke will hold at third, and the Cavaliers are within a run on Henry Godbout's first hit of the afternoon.
We saw glimpses of it last inning. O'Donnell and Teal both hit it really sharply on a line. O'Donnell's for a hit, Teal's for an out, but both 100-plus miles an hour and on a line. And that was the beginning of the second trip through against Dalton Smith, and that is carried over to this inning. I mean, again, he's not a guy that typically goes this far, a guy who operates based on deception, and when a team gets a second look at it, a good offense is going to start to hit a guy like Smith. Virginia's doing that in the sixth, see if Tuff can keep it going.
50 pitches now for Dalton Smith. And first pitch swinging is Colin Tuff. And, yeah, it's definitely an approach now. The Cavalier lineup is aggressive in these first 4 trips to the plate, and Colin Tuff is following suit.
Sauke's a good athlete at third. I mean, a fly ball of medium depth should tie this game.
And pitch to Tuff misses, so 1-1 is the count.
We saw earlier Reed's got a really good arm in right. Not sure about DeLeo in center or Despina in left. I know DeLeo's known for his speed, but not sure about the arm.
And 1-1 pitch, just swing and a miss from Tuft.
That's a really good changeup.
79 miles an hour, breaks right at the bottom of the zone. So Godbout with a medium lead at first. We'll see if he's in motion. And pitch in the dirt. And Godbout's going to take second on the wild pitch. So something that, if you ever watched Virginia baseball before, they are so good at taking that extra base. And right there, Godbout puts himself the go-ahead run in scoring position for Colin Tuft. So 5-4 Georgia Tech, runners on second and third, and the pitch to Tuft. Line into center field, and that is a base hit. 1 run will score. Sauke scores easy. Here comes Godbout. The throw is cut off at the plate. The Cavaliers will take the lead, but the cutoff throw is where Colin Tuft gets hung up. But either way, it's a productive out for the Cavaliers as they take a 6-5 lead on a 2 RBI single from Colin Tuft. So 8-3-4 is the put out on Colin Tuft at second base. So no runners on for Griff O'Farrell with 2 outs, but the damage has been done. A 3-run rally here for the Cavaliers in the 6th. Pitch to O'Farrell is in there for a called strike.
And now how big are those strikeouts of Finley and Jackson from Bradley Hodges?
Yeah, that was
bases loaded, no outs. He gets out 2 outs without Georgia Tech even putting the ball in play.
Momentum swing, you could feel it. So 0-2 now to O'Farrell, and fastball misses on the outside corner.
I have a feeling when an unnamed SID interviews Brian O'Connor after the game, he might be asking about how big Bradley Hodges was for Virginia in that 6th inning, or the bottom of the 5th, excuse me, to allow this 6th inning for Virginia.
And the pitch to O'Farrell is fouled straight back.
But again, I mean, the other thing to me, Scott, is Colin Tuft. I mean, there are no 2 ways about it. This has not been in any way the season he thought he was going to have. But the last couple of weeks, he has been huge for this team.
Yep. Just needed that exam break.
Yeah.
Just get out of school. And
he's such a good student that he could only focus on the academics.
It's true. At a place like Virginia, it's not easy to do. So 1-2 now to O'Farrell. And this one lined into right field, base hit. And O'Farrell has his second hit of the day.
And again, I mean, it really is. I know it's become basically such a familiar refrain at the big league level that at times it can be obnoxious. But counting the number of trips through a batting order that a pitcher goes, and the emphasis on that, and the breakdown statistically of how batting averages rise. I mean, just the quality of contact here from Virginia. It was nothing hit hard against Smith the first trip through, and it has been everything hit hard the second time through.
Yeah, they figured him out, and you almost get the feeling that he was kind of left out there to dry, in a sense, for Georgia Tech.
But short-handed staff today, so maybe Danny Hall didn't have an option.
Yep. So we will have a new pitcher for the Yellow Jackets as Danny Halls will make a change. Cavaliers lead 6-5. We'll be right back to tell you about that new Georgia Tech pitcher in a moment.
Cameron Hill takes over for Georgia Tech, his 17th appearance of the season, a guy who's been used as a midweek starter fairly often for Georgia Tech, including their midweek game this past week against Mercer. Only 2 innings in that appearance his last time out. For the season, a 1-0 record, a 7.57 earned run average, 27 and a third innings. He has struck out 31. He has walked only 19, but opponents are hitting .355 against Cameron Hill. Sophomore lefty, and he takes over to face Virginia's Ethan O'Donnell, runner at first base, 2 outs. Top of the 6th.
So left-on-left matchup here for O'Donnell. And the first pitch is fouled straight back.
You can always tell when the rain starts falling. The mass exodus from the lower rows to the few rows that are under protective covering just in front of us.
Well, it's important to get this inning finished.
Yeah.
If that's the case. Nothing really significant falling at the moment, but does send the crowd stirring.
Just trying to avoid talking about it, but there was the at least chance of rain pretty much all throughout the late afternoon, early evening.
So 1-1 now to O'Donnell. O'Farrell with a medium-sized lead at first. This one, a line drive, base hit. This is going to split the gap in right center field. O'Donnell will make a big turn, but will stop at first. But that'll allow O'Farrell to make it all the way to third. And Cavaliers not done yet with runners at the corners. 1 out. Excuse me, 2 outs.
The rain is one thing. Hopefully the thunderstorms stay away.
Yeah, that's...
But what you said about completing an inning, Georgia Tech dealt with that as recently as Tuesday night. Their road game at Mercer was halted with Georgia Tech rallying. And as a result, Mercer held on to win.
That brings up Jake Geloff as first pitch gets away from Rubenstein.
So unless Virginia were able to record the 3 outs in the bottom of the 6th, say the game were to be halted right now, it would revert to the end of the 5th.
And the pitch to Geloff is in there for a called strike. 1-1 now.
Just hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, that's the fear. So you almost want to...
And to be clear, it's nothing heavy falling right now.
Yeah.
That was purely speaking hypothetically.
So 1-1 now to Geloff. And that Changeup misses outside. Cameron Hill, the left-hander. Big, imposing left-handed pitcher. 2-1. Chasing is Jake Geloff on a pitch well outside the zone. It's a 93-mile-an-hour fastball that Jake a little upset at himself for going after that. But 2-2 now. 2 outs. Ethan O'Donnell leads off first. Griff O'Farrell at third. And the pitch from Hill, and they're going to have O'Donnell hung up. We'll see if this allows O'Farrell to score. Now they're going to go after O'Farrell, who's in between home and third. And they will get him for the final out of the inning. O'Farrell goes down gingerly, but gets back up. But that, more importantly, that ends the Cavalier threat. But 3 runs in the top of the 6th. Another 6th inning rally, game-changing rally for the Cavaliers. 6-5 UVA in the middle of the 6th inning. We'll be back after this.
Hey, Yellow Jacket fan, do you happen to love pizza, cinnamon rolls, and treats with your friends and family? Well, come on down to Slammin' Huskies, located at 1016 Howell Mill Road. Come try our signature pizzas, like the Nashville Hot Chicken Pizza and the Got 5 on a Cheese Pizza. Slammin' Huskies offers dine-in, online pickup, and delivery through Uber Eats and DoorDash. We look forward to seeing you enjoy pizza, art, and music. Breathe. Pizza rules everything around me. The Alexander Tharp Fund is the fundraising arm of the Georgia Tech Athletic Association. Gifts and commitments help us fund student-athlete scholarships, facility projects, and current operations. Please join us in helping attract and retain the best and brightest student-athletes by making an online gift at atfund.org/give today. Off the bottom of the 6th inning, your third baseman, number 9.
Back here in Midtown Atlanta for the regular season finale between the Cavaliers and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Bradley Hodges remains in the game on the mound for Virginia. First pitch to Brant Baucom is in there for a called strike. Hodges escaped a bases-loaded jam in the 5th. And the Cavaliers rode that momentum to a 3-run rally in the top of the 6th. And now lead the game 6-5. So Hodges, the 1-1 pitch now. This one fouled straight back, and he's ahead of the 9th hitter, Brent Baucom. Baucom 1 for 2 today. He has a double back in the 4th inning. Part of a 2-run frame for the Yellow Jackets.
Scott, I think Barry is down today after 34 pitches, but I do wonder about Jay Woolfolk. Is he available for the 9th?
I think if you ask Jay Woolfolk, he is.
Yeah.
But
my question was more for Brian O'Connor and Drew Dickinson.
Yeah, that's one thing that we've come to learn about him. He wants the ball whenever he has a chance. So I would probably side with Coach O'Connor here and maybe hold him off because it could be a long week ahead. And ground ball there by Baucom is foul. So 2-2 now to the Yellow Jacket third baseman.
Other guy that I think has the ability to finish games if needed would be Angelo Tonis in my mind, and he was really good for an inning yesterday.
Got the win. 2-2 pitch to Baucom, swing and a miss. Bradley Hodges with another strikeout to lead off the 6th.
Your
which is encouraging because the last 2 innings for Georgia Tech, the leadoff runner has recorded a hit. So nice to see a potential for a shutdown inning here for Hodges.
Swing and misses have been there for Virginia pitching when they've executed changeups. I think we saw that right there on a swing and miss from Baucom as he was out in front of it, but Hodges commanded it down and away. Virginia's gotten into trouble leaving changeups up in the zone today, but Georgia Tech has also feasted on fastballs, which has made the changeup an effective pitch.
1-0 pitch to leadoff batter Christian Campbell's fouled back. Campbell looking for his first hit of the day. He's 4 for 11 in the series. Pitch from Hodges misses high, 2-1. Falls behind for the first time this inning. Pitch from Hodges misses high again, so 3-1 to Campbell. Not a batter you want to get away from here, so we'll see what Hodges comes back with. That was a changeup that missed high. So 3-1 now. And in there for a called strike. Good pitch from Hodges, 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Three-two pitch. This one finds the hole between first and second base, and Christian Campbell with his first hit of the day. And Georgia Tech
Your center fielder, number 15,
with a runner on base. For Jake DeLeo, the Yellow Jacket center fielder. He's got 2 hits today, including a triple. Only the 5th triple, as we mentioned, given up by Cavalier pitching in 55 games this season. Hodges will give a peek at Campbell, and that's going to get away from Anderson. There was a good throw on the pickoff attempt, but I think Anderson just dropped it, and it kind of squirted towards the warning track in the right field line, and that allowed Christian Campbell to get in a scoring position as the tying run. So we'll see how they score that, but that should be, and it is, and E3 goes to Anderson. Anderson's been really steady over there at first base, only his 4th error of the year for a guy that coming into the season had never played first base. So really good what you see from Anderson. This one, ground ball short, and O'Farrell's throw to get the speedy Jake DeLeo is not in time, and that will put 2 runners on for Georgia Tech. Runners are at the corners. Nothing really O'Farrell can do. A really slow hit ground ball up the middle, skipped off the mound a little bit. O'Farrell did a nice job of corralling it, but his throw was not in time. So 2 runners on with 1 out for Georgia Tech here in the bottom of the 6th as they try to respond to the Cavaliers' 3 runs in the top of the 6th. Pitch from Hodges is a fly ball to right field. This might be deep enough to score. Campbell, and the throw from Sauke is not in time. A right on the money throw from Sauke, but just in there with a head first slide is Christian Campbell. Christian Campbell, the Georgia Tech leadoff batter, and plus speed there, so it was going to be a tough play on the sacrifice fly to Casey Sauke.
Also worth noting, again, can't fault Sauke at all for throwing it all the way through. Very strong throw, but on that throw, DeLeo takes second. So now base hit from Despina would put the Jackets back in front.
We're knotted at 6. And the first pitch from Hodges to Angelo Despina is in there for a called strike. 91 miles an hour on the fastball. Cavaliers will have a shift. O'Farrell's on the second base side of second base. And Godbout almost playing shallow right field for the left-handed hitting Despina, who's got 3 hits today. He's 3 for 3, scored 2 runs. So a guy that Hodges wants to get out, and this one's fouled to the first base coaching box. 0-2, Hodges ahead now. Cavaliers have some arms, and looks to be one of them. This is number 4, Jay Wolfa. 0-2 pitch from Hodges, misses outside, just misses. Great pitch there on a fastball that dotted that outside corner. And good job for Despina laying off. So runner on second, 2 outs. The 1-2 pitch from Hodges. Misses low. They check the swing. Not really a swing attempt from Despina, and safe, says third base umpire Tony Carrilli, excuse me. 2-2 now to Despina. And the breaking ball misses low. Kyle Teal does a nice job keeping that ball in the dirt in front of him. No real threat displayed there by DeLeo at second.
You mentioned Woolfolk's name. He is not throwing nor stretching. He's actually just standing down as sort of a decoy batter.
Okay, yeah. This one fouled again towards the first base coaching box.
You might remember the name of the Georgia Tech first base coach. Zeke Pinkham was a starting catcher at Louisville for 3 years, 2017 to 19.
Do recall. But go back to Woolfolk. You know, we mentioned this the other day, how the bullpens here at Rush Chandler Stadium, the catcher is facing home plate. So it's easy for us to see the numbers, but if you were to take a quick glance, it looks like Jay Woolfolk is on the pitcher's mound.
Right.
But he's actually at home plate.
He's actually sort of backed away, and now he's just watching, almost from a coach's perspective, watching Jack O'Connor continue his warm-up tosses.
The 3-2 pitch from Hodges. Ground ball. Anderson will get it, and foul ball, says A.J. Estaglio. Look to have, I think that was the right call. I don't know if that went over first base or not. He obviously has the better angle than we do here up in the booth. And funny, again, the bat girl for Georgia Tech almost took Despina's bat back to the dugout, which happened earlier in this series. I can't recall who was at bat, but the bat girl got halfway back to the dugout before realizing that the batter still was up.
This time John Mang, the home plate ump, said, "What are you doing?"
3-2 pitch is tipped, and we'll do it again.
Tied at 6. I just think it's so interesting to think about what Virginia has availability-wise and also how you use your bullpen in this spot in terms of who would be available and for how long. And, you know, I just think that itch starts to appear about using Woolfolk for the ninth if Virginia takes a lead.
Yep. 3-2 pitch. Another foul ball.
Ooh, Fan had an opportunity. Bouncing ball over that short wall. In and out of the webbing of the glove. That's an error.
And hears it from the crowd.
Yeah. And Zeke Pinkham doesn't give it to him. And he didn't earn it.
Yep, he's holding on. He's back pocketing that one.
He pointed at him, said, "That error's on you."
3-2 pitch again from Hodges, and this one's going to miss. A well-earned walk there from Despina. And that's going to put 2 runners on. 12 pitch at bat for Despina. And that'll bring up The 5-hitter, John Giesler.
You know, that's something that we saw earlier. Extended at bat, Brian Edgington continued to fill up the strike zone pitch after pitch. But that at bat wasn't 12 pitches. The one Hodges just went through against Espina was. And when it gets to that many pitches, you almost can't fault a guy for throwing ball 4.
That'll bring out Coach O'Connor. We'll have a pitching change. Looks to be Jack O'Connor. No signal yet. But Jack O'Connor's been down warming for a good 3 innings now. And he'll make the appearance with runners on, not the clean inning. This is I think his second appearance with runners on base, inherited runners. So we'll see how he fares. We're at 6-6. We got 2 runners on base for the Yellow Jackets in the bottom of the 6th inning. We'll have a new pitcher for you when we come back.
For the Cavaliers, the freshman, number 14, Jack O'Connor.
15th appearance of the season for Jack O'Connor and his 4th out of the bullpen. First-year righty, 5-3 with a 4.21 earned run average. 57 2/3 innings. He's struck out 58. He's walked 24. And O'Connor takes over with Virginia and Georgia Tech tied at 6. 2 outs bottom of the 6th inning, and Georgia Tech with runners at first and second. John Giesler, right-hand batter to face the new pitcher, Jack O'Connor.
So O'Connor will have 2 runners inherited here with 2 outs. And Giesler, who's 2 hits in the ball game, also has a sac fly back in the 4th. First pitch is a 90-mile-an-hour fastball in there for a called strike.
2/3 of an inning on Thursday through 25 pitches, but a day off in between.
So comes set at the belt. The 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball misses. Slight offering there from Giesler. But that evens the count at 1-1. I guess we're happy to report, at least at the moment, that the weather has just a sprinkle there before, so no threat there. Has another breaking pitch from O'Connor, misses high. Set again at the belt for O'Connor, the pitch. Ground ball to short. O'Farrell up with it, flips over to Godbout, and that'll end the threat here in the bottom of the 6th inning, but not without the damage already done. We're tied back up at 6 after 6 innings complete here at Rush Chandler Stadium.
We would like to thank all of the fans for coming out for another great season of Georgia Tech baseball. It is still not over as our boys are ready to wreak havoc next week in Durham, North Carolina, as they compete for the ACC ACC tournament title. Tune into the ACC Network May 23rd through the 27th to catch the Ramblin' Wreck live on television.
Back here in Atlanta, we're 6 innings complete. Jake Geloff will lead it off for the Cavaliers, and back with the play-by-play, the voice of Virginia baseball, Channy Poole.
Thank you, Scott. Really appreciate your help this afternoon as Virginia and Georgia Tech knotted at 6. Cameron Hill remains on for the Yellow Jackets. And Geloff, Teal, Anderson, opportunity for Virginia with the big boys to do some damage as Hill's first pitch bounces in. Change up to Geloff. 1 ball, no strikes. Jake, a 2-run homer back in the first to start the scoring. He's also walked, has been on base a couple of times today, and now 5 times on the weekend. 1-0. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Well, Virginia, the big 3 spot in the top of the 6th to recapture the lead, but Georgia Tech answering back with a run in the home half of the inning. 2-0 pitch. Geloff swings, skies it to center. That'll chase back DeLeo. Back to the warning track at the wall, and it's gone! Second of the day for Jake Geloff, and immediately Virginia's got the lead back. A 2-homer day for Jake, number 22 on the season. Virginia 7, Georgia Tech 6, with 1 swing of the bat from Jake. Well, that was fast. Now Kyle Teal takes it down and away. And the pitch. Here's a called strike. Well, with that home run, the 2-homer day, Jake Geloff, who not only broke his own single-season RBI record today, he is now tied the single-season home run record held by Brian Buchanan, his 22-homer season back in 1994. And now Jake Geloff's 22-homer season in 2023. 2-1 pitch to Teal, popped up left side, giving chase to third baseman Baucom. Up against the wall, runs out of room. 2-2. Geloff, of course, also has the second highest single-season home run total with his 21 homers last year, and has only extended his career home run record with 2 more today. Pitch swung on, tap foul. Geloff, 2 RBIs in the first game of the series, 3 RBIs today, now has 5 RBIs in this series, and has moved within 2 of the career RBI record of Steven Proscia. I mean, every time Jake swings the bat, it feels like you got to check the record books. But he has tied the single-season home run record. He is within 2 of the career RBI record. He has already broken his own single-season RBI record. I'm probably forgetting something. 3-2. Swinging a line drive out towards the third baseman, and is snagged on a hop throw to first, is in time to get Teal. 5-3. And there's 1 away. I guess I could mention, again, he's tacked on to his own career home run total. He now has 45 home runs in a Virginia uniform. Ethan Anderson, switch hitter, batting right against the lefty Cameron Hill. Sophomore deals and a called strike. 6'6", 205-pound left-hander from just south of here in Fayetteville, Georgia. Out of Whitewater High School, a little south of the airport. 1-1. It's upstairs. 2 balls, 1 strike. Geloff started the scoring with a home run to the left of the batter's eye. He has put Virginia back in front with a home run just to the right of the batter's eye. 2-1. Going the opposite way. Anderson poking it towards the foul pole, but foul. Slices off beyond the Virginia bullpen, which the first time in a while is quiet. But, again, you start going through options that Virginia has available on the mound. And I would think after O'Connor, 2-2 pitch. Anderson fouls it back again. The high leverage options that come to mind in terms of who else would be available would be Evan Blanco and Angelo Tonis. Again, that is assuming Jay Woolfolk is down today. If Woolfolk's available, obviously he's got the 9th. Anderson fouls it back. Do it again, 2-2. Ethan, a roller single his first time up. Or his last time up, I should say, down the third base line for his first hit of the day. 2-2 pitch. Swinging a line drive towards first, but stabbed by Giesler. So Anderson is retired. Another hard hit line drive. Virginia's swings, the middle portion of this game, have been really good. Now Casey Salke, speaking of hard hit balls, he ripped a single his last time up. Base hit that sort of started to signal the end for Dalton Smith, or at least should have, but seemed like maybe the Yellow Jackets left him in a couple of batters too long. First pitch down, 1-0. Now Hill winds and flips in a breaking ball for a strike to even the count. But again, Georgia Tech dealing with such limited options on the mound that part of it is trying to eke out as many outs as they can, especially only getting a couple of innings from starter Jackson Finley. Fastball high, 2-1. Activity now resuming in their bullpen. Jackson Vaughn. Pitch way upstairs and nobody on base, no harm done, but up above the reach of Jack Rubenstein. 7 runs, 11 hits for Virginia. 6 runs, 14 hits for Georgia Tech. 7-6 Hoos, the 3-1. Fouled back, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Statistically, Vaughn, the one guy that we have not seen this weekend whom we would expect to see, given guys that have seen the most and most regular time on the hill for Georgia Tech. Now the 3-2. Swing and a line drive, but slicing foul into the Virginia bullpen area. So we will do it again, 3-2. Hill, again, a guy they've used as a midweek starter. Made 1 start last year, 5 starts this year. 3-2, sweeps in there, strike 3 call. That's a good pitch to end the inning, but not before Jake Geloff. Solo homer, his second of the day. And at the end of 6.5, it's stretch time in Atlanta. Virginia 7, Georgia Tech 6. We go to the bottom of the 7th as the fans stand up and stretch at Rush Chandler Stadium. We're back in a moment.
All right, fans, it's time for one of Georgia Tech's greatest traditions.
Thanks to more Jake Geloff fireworks, Virginia has the lead back, 7-6 Hoos, as we go to the last of the 7th, all stretched out from Russ Chandler Stadium, where, of course, by tradition, they don't play take me out of the ball game, but nevertheless, fans able to rise and stretch out a little bit in between innings. Jack O'Connor back to the hill for the Hoos. His first pitch fastball in there for a strike, 0-1. Jackson Finley, Jaden Jackson, Jack Rubenstein. The 6, 7, 8 spots in the lineup. 0-1 breaker. That's a good one. Drops in for strike 2. Fastball over the outside edge. Breaking ball over the inner part of the plate. Now O'Connor way ahead. The kick and the 0-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Made quick work of him. Back to the fastball there. Finley is down swinging. One gone in the 7th. And for Virginia pitching now 8 strikeouts on the afternoon. Still cloudy skies overhead, but has lightened up a bit. Actually some sun peeking out between half innings after there had been a little bit of rainfall going back to the top of the 6th inning. But now here in the 7th, that has made its way through. Pitch to Jackson, swing and a miss, 0-1. Good slider from O'Connor. Checks the pitch comm band and now back to work. Down and away. Well, unsurprisingly, Evan Blanco has started throwing in the Virginia bullpen. But a little bit surprisingly, Jay Woolfolk is tossing. Not surprised to see him tossing, but am surprised to see him tossing this early. Pitch a called strike, 1-2. One out, base is empty. O'Connor winds and delivers. Breaking ball down, 2-2. To Jaden Jackson, the Georgia Tech shortstop, right-handed batter. Now back into the windup. O'Connor's pitch. Swinging a tapper left side. Back to play it from the hole. O'Connor, long throw to first, right on the money. As O'Farrell, another strong throw. And it's 2 up, 2 down for Jack O'Connor in this 7th inning. Shutdown inning on the heels of that Geloff homer would be big for this Virginia team. And he's 2/3 of the way there. Now Jack Rubenstein getting his 3rd at bat of the day. The Emory transfer. Slider, I guess, a little inside, according to the judgment of one John Mang, and it's 1-0. Now back to work. O'Connor's pitch. Didn't mean to, but taps it foul back. I think that would have been a called strike either way, and the count even up at a ball and a strike. To Rubenstein, who's at a Pace Academy here in Atlanta and spent 4 years at Emory. Transferred last year to Georgia Tech. And he was allowed a 6th year of eligibility because not only did he get the extra year for the shortened 2020 season, but Emory and its league at the D3 level also played an abbreviated 2021. Fastball strike, 2-2. They only played 12 games as a league, and so that did not count as a year of eligibility for Rubenstein. 2-2 pitch. Slider down. Boy, tough take from Rubenstein. It was beneath the strike zone, but that had so much downward tilt. And that'll run at full 3-2. Righty against righty. And O'Connor's pitch. Fought off foul back. Fastball that ran up and in on Jack Rubenstein. Now another payoff pitch from Jack O'Connor. Swing and a foul tip. Caught by Teal, and the inning is over. 1-2-3 go the Yellow Jackets. Couple of strikeouts from Jack O'Connor. The all-important shutdown frame, and he does it in 1-2-3 style. We go to the 8th. After 7 complete, Virginia 7, Georgia Tech 6.
Pro is proud to be the official bat, glove, and protective equipment supplier of the Yellow Jackets. Use promo code GT10 to get 10% off 44 Pro custom gear at 44ProGloves.com.
Anthony Stefan will lead it off for Virginia as we go top 8 in Atlanta. Stefan Godbout-Tuft, the bottom third of the lineup to face Cameron Hill for Georgia Tech. Left-hander spikes the rosin bag down and now climbs back atop the hill. Peers in lefty against lefty. Virginia 7, Georgia Tech 6th, top of the 8th inning. Swing and a miss on a fastball from lefty Hill, 0-1. Virginia 6 outs away from a series sweep, although obviously the slimmest of leads. 0-1 is high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Stefan's had another productive day. Double, a walk, and a sacrifice bunt. He's now got 3 hits and 4 walks in the series. Swing and a miss. Had a slider from Hill, 1-2. We saw Hill in Charlottesville last year for an inning and 2/3. Couple of runs on a couple of hits and a couple of walks. In a game, Virginia won 18-9. Breaking ball down, 2-2. Jackson Vaughn continues to throw behind him in the Georgia Tech bullpen. Slider is swung on and skied. Left field for Despina. Coming on and camped under it. Makes a one-handed catch. Taking a jab step to his right at the very end, and there's one away.
Second baseman, number 7, Henry Godbout.
So here's Godbout, right-handed batter against Hill. Breaking ball sweeps down. Checking back in on the most important games in the ACC landscape, at least from a Virginia fan standpoint. Both games that started at 1 o'clock. Clemson leading North Carolina 2-0 after 5. Duke and Miami are still scoreless. They're in the 3rd inning. Godbout takes fastball away, 3-0.
I feel like that Duke game is crawling. You know, wasn't it just in the top of the 2nd? I wonder if there's a delay of any sort.
There's a called strike. That's a good point. For a game that started at 1:02, to be in the top of the 3rd at 2:47 would be jarringly slow, absent some kind of delay. Pitch to Godbout outside. That's ball 4.
And they are in a weather delay. They pick back up the 2nd inning at 2:30. So they're back and playing, but they did have some sort of delay, weather-related.
Well, speaking of delays, Danny Hall out from the Georgia Tech dugout. And I think he's going to get the ball from Cameron Hill and make the sign for Jackson Vaughn to come in. So new pitcher to take over for the Yellow Jackets. It will be pitcher number 4, for Georgia Tech when we return. 7-6 Hoos in the 8th. Virginia has a runner at first with one out. Here in Atlanta, Georgia, Cavaliers trying to add some insurance, see if they can do so against Vaughn when we come back. '22nd appearance of the season for Jackson Vaughn, who takes over. A 1-0 record for the right-hander. ERA of 5.71. 34 2/3 innings. Vaughn has struck out 35. He has walked 14. And opponents are batting .301 against him. Jackson Vaughn has allowed 43 hits over 34 2/3 innings of work. So he has been hittable, much like his predecessor, Cameron Hill, who is done after an inning and 2/3 and 41 pitches. Hill departs responsible for Henry Godbout at first base. We're in the 8th inning. It's Virginia 7, Georgia Tech 6. And the Wahoos to send Colin Tuff to the plate against the new pitcher Vaughn. Junior from Bakersfield, California. 5'8", 190 pounds. So short in stature. Short, stocky right-hander. And a transfer from the University of the Pacific out in Sacramento. So here's Tuft, right-handed hitter who had a big 2 RBI single his last time up. And has 3 RBIs on the day. Swings at a slider, shoots it back to the backstop, 0-1.
Vaughn with 47 pitches against Kennesaw State on May 10th. He's given up 6 runs in his last 3 appearances.
I mean, based on appearances to innings pitched, he's a guy that will have some lengthy outings. Slider outside, 1-1. But again, consistently this year, he's been very hittable. Another one who falls into the category of well-traveled young men. Georgia Tech is far from his first stop, nor is it his second stop. Swinging a line drive right center field, well tagged by Tuft. Back on it, DeLeo turns and watches it hit off the wall about halfway up in the air. Over to third base, Godbout. Tuft sheds the helmet as he goes into second with a stand-up double. Virginia has second and third, 1 out as they look for some big-time insurance. That will certainly help. It's more production from Virginia's Colin Tuft.
Second hit of the day. It's 2 for 4 now and has been in the thick of what could be the second big rally of the game for the Cavaliers.
Even his out back in the second was productive, bringing home a run. Georgia Tech draws the infield in all the way around. Second and third with 1 out for O'Farrell. Swings and pops it up foul. Interesting look with the infield drawn in, but the shift. 3 infielders to the right, or excuse me, 3 infielders to the left of second base, which leaves a ton of space on the right side of the infield. First baseman Giesler is way off the bag. Second baseman Campbell is crossed over to the shortstop side of the bag, right in front of where Colin Tuff leads. The 0-1. Slider down, check swing. Ooh, yes he did, says A.J. Lastaglio. Not sure about that. 1-1.
Curious there. I almost At first glance, I almost didn't think he needed a check, but apparently he did, according to AJ.
Now the 0-2. Taken down. Check swing this time, no swing. Boy, if he had rung him up there.
I'm not sure anybody pointed to him either on that one. I think he started walking from his position there, first base, and just gave the safe sign.
Guy that's been umpiring for a long time, but I think it's the first time we've had him all year. Breaking ball down again. And 2 balls, 2 strikes. Maybe I'm forgetting a series, but I don't remember seeing his name.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think we've had him yet this year.
Whereas there's been seasons, it feels like more than half the games have him as an umpire. 2-2 pitch. Popped up right side, but foul. And lands on First Street. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Griff O'Farrell. Again, with Godbout at third, Tuft at second, they would be big-time insurance for Virginia. Cavaliers lead by a run, but O'Farrell looking to change that. Vaughn peers in. Now set at the belt. Righty deals. Down and away. 3 balls, 2 strikes. So now from 0-2, he's worked it full to 3-2. Missing the bevy of sliders in this at bat. See if he sticks with it or goes back to the fastball. More of a slurvish breaking ball. Does have a little bit of a hump to it. Now the 3-2. Slider again, looped out towards left field, dropping in a hurry and in for a base hit. RBI single for O'Farrell, home from third Godbout. Tough stops at third base. It's 8-6 Hoos on the RBI single for Griff O'Farrell. Number 34 on the season for the Cavaliers shortstop.
Center fielder number 2, Ethan O'Donnell.
Yeah, that's Griff O'Farrell's game to a T right there. Just finding places in the outfield where he can place base hits, and in that spot, a very big hit as it gives a cushion for the Cavaliers 8-6 here in the 8th.
It's also going to knock Vaughn out of the game, and just as we were talking about how he's typically a multi-inning guy, that's a very short appearance for Jackson Vaughn as he only faces 2 batters. But Danny Hall going to make the signal. So another new arm coming on. They want a lefty to face O'Donnell. And I think it's going to be Joseph Manley for the second time on the weekend. We'll tell you about the new pitcher when we come back. 8-6 Hoos. Top of the 8th, but threatening for more when we come back. Second time we've seen Joseph Manley for Georgia Tech this weekend, redshirt senior from right here in Atlanta out of the Marist School. He worked an inning and a third on Thursday and actually threw 48 pitches just a couple of days ago. And he's back in there to face the left-hand hitting Ethan O'Donnell. There's a right-hander throwing behind him, so maybe a shorter appearance for Manley, which, again, would make sense given his workload earlier in the series. For Virginia, Ethan O'Donnell, the batter. Cavaliers have an 8-6 lead, and they now have runners at first and third with still just one out, so deep fly ball from Ethan O'Donnell would be as good as another insurance run for UVA. See if O'Donnell can cash in. From the belt, Manley deals. Sweeper swung on and missed, 0-1. Carolina is on the board in Clemson, South Carolina. Top of the seventh, it's now the Tigers 2, the Tar Heels 1. Duke and Miami back underway after their weather delay. Still no score, bottom of 3. Now the 0-1. Breaking ball outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. To Ethan O'Donnell. Hits in his last 2 trips to the plate. He is 2 for 4 on the day. And now has 6 hits in the series. Left-handers 1-1. Breaking ball popped up left side, giving chase to third baseman Baucom, and runs out of room. It's off into the seats. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It was out of my vantage point, but I think a fan made a catch and then gave it to the youngster seated next to him across the aisle. Must be what they talk about when they say reaching across the aisle. Runners at the corners, 1 out. Runner goes from first. Pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. Bluffed throw from the catcher, Rubenstein. So O'Donnell is down on strikes. O'Farrell steals second. His 16th stolen base of the year. Would he have been charged for a caught stealing on that rundown earlier in the...
He was, because if he advanced, it would have been a stolen base. And I'm pretty sure that they did credit a caught stealing and a pickoff, which is also...
Yes, they did.
You can award that as well, so...
So now 16 of 18. So second and third, but now 2 outs for Jake Geloff. Now, I got to be honest. Why is Georgia Tech not just putting him on? You got sidearm lefty on the mound, first base open, 2 outs, and a left-hand hitter on deck. You're facing a guy in Geloff who has 2 homers today. Okay, now they're going to put him on. Why throw a pitch?
Yeah.
He accidentally leave it over the middle of the plate. Geloff's going to hit it to Buckhead.
It's always comical on the intentional walk when you intentionally walk Geloff, who has 22 homers, and then to get to Teal, who's batting nearly .430.
Well, when they talk about providing protection, could not possibly ask for anybody better than Teal behind Geloff. Pitch is roped towards second, right at the second baseman Campbell. 101 off the bat. Kyle Teal, for the second time today, has hit a screamer right at a Georgia Tech defender. Hang with him. That is a tough break. But Virginia tacks on a run. At the end of 7.5, it is Virginia 8, Georgia Tech 6. We go bottom 8 and return to Rush Chandler Stadium after this.
Hitting the bottom of the 8th inning, the sophomore from Noonan, Georgia, number 7, Jet Lovett.
Out of the 9 spot today, it was a surprise start, just the 4th of the year for Brant Baucom. And he is now going to be lifted for a pinch hitter as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Virginia leads by 2, 8-6. Jack O'Connor back to the hill. The Hoos 6 outs away from a series sweep. And Jet Lovett is off the bench for Georgia Tech to pinch hit. Lovett, 8 hits in 26 at-bats. He takes a called strike, 0-1. Sophomore from Noonan, Georgia. Just 10 games off the bench last year and only 7 at-bats. And again, 26 at-bats this year. Breaking ball from O'Connor, missed inside, 1-1. Not a terrible showing from Baucom. He went 1 for 3 with a double. But here in the 8th, they want a lefty. So Lovett gets the call. Breaking ball outside, 2 balls, 1 strike. Virginia 8 runs, 13 hits. Georgia Tech 6 runs on 14 hits. Cavaliers have committed the game's only 2 errors and also their first couple of errors of the series. Bouncing ball right side. Godbout charging in. Gets the big hop waist high. Overhand toss to first. 1 away. You think there's a point at which, by design, they will go to the bullpen? Or is this just, as long as O'Connor gets outs, you stick with him?
Yeah, this could be kind of a preview of his postseason role. You know, try to eat those final, 6, 7, 8th innings to get to Woolfolk. He's another option from the right side to get to Woolfolk. So interesting how this shakes out here.
Well, Blanco continues to throw. So, again, is this back to the top of the order with Christian Campbell, who takes outside 1-0. Next pitch from O'Connor. Popped up right side foul, 1-1. On Thursday, Virginia brought in Evan Blanco when it got to Angelo Despina's spot in the lineup, the one lefty. Despina, the cleanup man. So perhaps they would wait until that point and then turn to Blanco. The 1-1. Fastball strike, 1-2. Jay Woolfolk very lightly tossed in the bullpen earlier today, but it's going to be, again, interesting to me if he comes into this game at all. Fastball. Ooh, just missed away. Good job by Teal framing it up, but could not sell it to John Mang. Here comes the 2-2 from O'Connor. Little spinner towards first, a fair ball. The spin on that ball kept it just inside of the chalk. Anderson fields, waves off O'Connor, steps in the bag, 2 down.
Yeah, nice play by Anderson there, not knowing which way that ball is going to bounce based on that spin. And he's able to take it himself. Almost like a well-seasoned veteran over there at first base for a guy that, again, hasn't played a ton of first base in his baseball career.
It's been remarkable how smooth he has been at first base. The number of runs saved simply on balls he's picked at first base. But his footwork around the bag, I mean, honestly, just the fluidity of his motions at first. He just seems so comfortable. Fastball for strike 1. Next pitch from O'Connor, wave and a miss at a breaking ball. Quickly 0-2 to Jake DeLeo.
Just another athlete at first base. That's just the benchmark of Virginia baseball. Just athletes at every position.
0-2, little spinner up towards third, charging in Geloff, off balance throw to first, right on the money. Inning over. 1, 2, 3, go. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, and for Jack O'Connor today, 7 up, 7 down since coming out of the bullpen. Virginia 3 outs away from a sweep and a standalone clinching of the Coastal Division title. First things first, they'll look for insurance when we come back.
Fans, turn your attention to the video board for today's Impact Moment of the Game, presented by Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Today's Impact Moment of the Game, the Jackson Finley's single RBI. Today's Impact Moment of the Game is presented by Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, Georgia's only nationally ranked program for teen athletes. Children's Healthcare Atlanta, making kids better today and healthier tomorrow. Visit the closest merchandise stand to learn how you can make a difference. Your attention, please. Now playing third base for your Yellow Jackets, the sophomore from Boca Raton, Florida, number 19, Nicholas Romano. Leading off the ninth inning, first baseman, number 23, Ethan Anderson.
Top of the ninth, Virginia 8, Georgia Tech 6. Ethan Anderson to lead things off with Casey Salke and Anthony Stefan to follow. As Joseph Manley remains on for Georgia Tech. The Hoos would love a little more insurance. 2-run lead right now after taking game 1, 12-5. And last night, 10-6 winners. Looking for a sweep. Breaking ball for strike one, 0-1 to Ethan Anderson. Anderson, a hit and a walk to his credit today. Manley deals. Bouncing ball to third. Backhanded by the new third baseman, Romano. Throws across the way to first. Do or die pick, and he came up with it. Romano, who's seen time in this series, he comes on at third base after Balcom was pinch hit for by Lovett. And now Romano defensively. Ball finds you immediately when you come in off the bench. One out, bases clear for Casey Salke. I think a ball got out of the bullpen area, but has been retrieved and tossed back from right field. We are good to continue. Manley delivers. Sweeper for a strike, 0-1. Speaking of that bullpen, again, as we try and dissect how Virginia would approach the ninth inning, it's got to be tough to pull Jack O'Connor. He's faced 7 batters. He has retired them all. Evan Blanco is throwing. Jay Woolfolk is tossing. The pitch, a little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Just 20 pitches from O'Connor, too. So, again, with the eye on next week, 20 pitches today would make him available for whatever comes from the first game of the ACC tournament in Durham.
1-1. At the knees, called a strike. The other thing that I keep doing, I don't know if you have the same issue, every time we go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think about Tuesday as being 1 day off in between, but he would have, even if it's a Tuesday game, he'd have 2 days off in between.
Right. Yeah, no, this completely messes with your mind, these Thursday, Friday, Saturday series.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. Swinging a ground ball right at the second baseman, gobbled up by Campbell. Off the dirt. Steps, throws, 2 down. 8-6 Hoos in the ninth. Now Blanco has sat down. Woolfolk continues to throw. So I guess the other idea is Woolfolk is your guy. It's a 2-run game, ninth inning. If he says he's available after only throwing 21 pitches yesterday, then you bring him in for the ninth because that's his role. He knows it. He's comfortable in it.
I think any Hoos fan, too, would like to see him in another close game just to kind of get that experience under his belt before games start really mattering.
Breaking ball to Stefan outside, 1-0. How many times can we say yet another productive day at the plate for Tony Stefan? I mean, it's just been time and time again. I think the other thing he does is he takes a fastball outside. He seems to fill up the box score. I mean, he's got a hit, which is an extra base hit, a run scored, a walk, and a sacrifice bunt.
That's a true baseball line in a good box score there. That's great to see.
But I feel like every one of his games reflects that in some way. Pitch swung on and spoiled foul. I mean, he's had a couple of 3-hit games, but it feels like more often than not it's 1 or 2 hits, but he's on base 3 or 4 times.
He's a catalyst, man. He's ever since cracking the lineup, in the second third of the season, he's been wildly productive for UVA in a number of factors, as you just mentioned.
And it all goes back to the summer that he had in the Northwoods League, because I think after last year he was not expected to be a big factor, but he swung his way into contention because of what he did last summer. Stefan swings, ropes one to left. Is it going to hang up? Yes, it will. He hit it well, but 101-mile-an-hour line drive. How many of those can Virginia hit today at Georgia Tech defenders? The latest from Stefan, it's out number 3 as Despina makes the catch. We go to the bottom of the 9th. There's our answer. Bullpen door has swung open, and Jay Woolfolk is coming on. He'll try to lock down his second save of the series. Virginia 8, Georgia Tech 6 as we go to the bottom of the 9th.
Attention please, now pitching for the Cavaliers, the sophomore, number 4, Jay Woolfolk. Let's go Tech fans, it's rally time. Leading off the bottom of the 9th inning, your right fielder, number 23, Steve.
8.5 in the books. All that's left to do for Virginia is lock it down and sweep the series on the road in Atlanta. A win would give Virginia sole possession of the Coastal Division crown. Jay Woolfolk is on to try and do exactly that. He will face, of course, the 3-4-5 hitters for Georgia Tech. Stephen Reed, Angelo Despina, John Giesler. The pitch. Slider fouled back, 0-1. Georgia Tech not of that mold of taking a strike when trailing in the 9th inning. They are guys that want to use every pitch to try and hit a ball out of the ballpark. Woolfolk from the stretch, even with the bases empty, the 0-1, down and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Woolfolk is pitcher number 5. Before we get too far away from it, should give kudos to Jack O'Connor, who retired all 7 batters that he faced this afternoon. He was excellent. The 1-1, swing and a miss. I think also important, Scott, Thursday, Georgia Tech got to him a little bit. A hit, a couple of walks, a couple of runs scored, but he bounced back in a huge way today. 1-2 pitch to Stephen Reed. Fastball, strike 3 called. Paints the outside edge at 94. 1 away. Strikeout number 10 for Virginia pitching today.
Yeah, and for Virginia, this is the only the 11th time this year where they've played a game decided by 1 or 2 runs. So, I mean, Jay hasn't really had a ton of work in these type of scenarios. So, hey, it's good all around.
He came into yesterday's game in a 1-run game to get the final out of the 8th. But the 9th inning, he was pitching with a 4-run lead.
Exactly.
Despina takes outside 1-0. But I think just as big as it is for Jay Woolfolk here, I think the same can be said for Jack O'Connor's appearance today to go into the ACC tournament feeling good about what he did, pitching in a competitive, as competitive as can be, ball game. Fastball just outside, 2-0. And the same can also be said, I think, for Bradley Hodges, who pitched himself out of a really big spot, and he should feel good about himself going into postseason play. Line drive, center field, base hit. You knew it wasn't going to be that easy. Angelo Despina has his 4th hit of the day and 7th of the series. Now John Giesler for Georgia Tech. So righty against righty is Woolfolk, who worked an inning and a third yesterday and threw 21 pitches. Delivers. Fastball strike. 0-1. And Virginia really has done a good job today of piecing it together. No balls and a strike. Woolfolk deals. Swing and a looper foul right side. Quickly 0-2. Well, we all know how good of a breaking ball Woolfolk has, and yes, Despina singled, but nothing else. He did clear the one lefty in the lineup. See if he goes to that slider or sticks with a fastball. The 0-2. Slider is high, 1-2. Looked like Teal was set up away, and that ball just backed up on Woolfolk, and actually probably fortunate that he missed up and out of the zone as opposed to up at the top of the zone. Runner at first, 1 out. The 1-2. Swinging a line drive, left center field. O'Donnell over to play it. He will get there on 2 hops, and Georgia Tech has the tying run aboard. Well, he got it up, but not up enough. Fastball, I think he was trying to get it above the zone to see if Giesler would chase, but instead he left it right around the letters. If you're wondering about yesterday, Woolfolk faced the same guys, Reed, Despina, Giesler, and Finley. So now as Finley comes in, the final guy who has seen Woolfolk this weekend, 2 on, 1 out. Fastball bounced up the middle, might be 2, but it sneaks through. Past the diving O'Farrell, O'Donnell has it, fires towards third, in standing up at third, the tying run, Giesler. Despina scores from second. Godbout was ranging over. I thought he was going to pick it, and at the last second he pulled his glove back. I guess thinking that O'Farrell was going to get to it. If anyone was going to have a play, it was Godbout, but there was some confusion about playing that baseball. But it is the 3rd consecutive hit and a 1-run game.
Yeah, tough play up the middle for either O'Farrell or Godbout, but you're right, Godbout had the beat on it. And I wonder if there was any communication between the two saying, hey, ball, or I got it. I would have liked to see Henry just scoop the ball and put it in his pocket, if anything.
Well, and again, the other part of it is with O'Farrell diving after it, there wasn't going to be a chance to turn to, but I still think if Godbout is able to get there, Finley doesn't run exceptionally well. I think they've got a chance to get the out at first. But also keeping it on the infield would have kept that other run from scoring. So now Jaden Jackson called back for a pinch hitter. Unsurprisingly, Georgia Tech brings on left-handed batter, and it is Drew Compton, switch hitter, so he's able to fight through the hamstring nagging injury, at least to pinch hit here in the 9th. Tying run at third with 1 out. Fastball inside corner for a strike, 1-1. 8-7, the Virginia lead. All of a sudden, Georgia Tech scampering to get a right-hander as well. Dawson Brown up in the bullpen. Now the 1-1. Change up, just missed. 2 balls, 1 strike. At the corners with 1 out. The pitch. Bounced it in. 2 balls, 1 strike. Teal picks it cleanly and watches the runner back to third. Georgia Tech already with a couple of sacrifice flies in the game. 1 from Giesler, 1 from Reed. 3 balls, 1 strike to Compton. The pitch. Maybe not the worst thing in the world as he puts a force at any base. The flip side of that is ball 4 inside has now put the winning run in scoring position. Obviously not intentional, but if there is any silver lining, it's that Virginia now has a force at any base. Jack Rubenstein, the batter, right-hand hitter against the righty Woolfolk, and I think Drew Dickinson's going to come to the mound. He pops out of the dugout, makes his way towards the mound. We've seen Woolfolk in these sorts of jams before and somehow escape. Now the infield is going to come in and join the conference.
Again, the silver lining here is a ground ball and game's over. So Virginia has been very good defensively for this entire series. Has turned a number of double plays in big spots. So I think Coach Dickinson just wants to keep the ball low and feed it to that middle infielder, which has been so good this series.
You've got Rubenstein at the plate, not a guy that runs well. Double play candidate. Right-handed hitter. I mean, you'd think. I think the 2 options here are, A, see if Rubenstein can catch up to the fastball, or 2, just throw him nothing but sliders and see if he'll hit something into the ground. Parker Brocious will pinch run at first. And given the bevy of Major League connections, had to look. No, he is not related to Scott Brocious.
I also looked at that one.
Righty against righty. The pitch. He does go slider. Called strike. Again, I think even if Rubenstein swings at that, he's probably going to pound it into the ground. That's a good pitch from Jay Woolfolk.
And you have Anderson in on the corner. Geloff is a little bit behind third base. Definitely in double play depth.
0-1 slider. Reached for and poked foul back. 0-2. So
strikeouts are good too.
Yeah. You could definitely see Rubenstein trying to elevate there. He was lunging down to try and get under the baseball. Get it up into the air. No balls, 2 strikes. Woolfolk from the belt. The pitch. Fastball away. Just missed it. 94, 1-2. Was wondering if he was going to try and sneak a fastball by him. I think might have been trying to see if he could get Rubenstein to extend a little bit off the outside edge.
It's a great job there by Rubenstein to lay off. That's a tough pitch to let through.
The 1-2. Slider swung on and missed. He got him on strikes for a massive second out. So, again, the tying run is at third. The winning run is at second. And is Georgia Tech going to go to another pinch hitter? Yes, they will. Wow. So Nicholas Romano not going to get an opportunity to bat. They will bring on Brandon Prince, right-handed hitter, to bat. First time we've said his name this weekend. I thought if nothing else, they'd stick with Romano because he's been in games this weekend rather than bringing a guy cold off the bench. Righty against righty, bases loaded, 2 outs. Talk about down to the wire. The pitch. Fastball strike, 0-1. Prince, 6 hits in 16 at-bats. 24th game in which he's seen action, but again, only 16 at-bats, hitting at .375 in limited action. Right-hand hitter from Carrollton, Georgia. The 0-1 with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Slider away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Virginia 8, Georgia Tech 7. Giesler at third, Finley at second. The pinch runner, Brocious, is at first. Woolfolk deals a fastball for strike 2. Now the Hoos are 1 strike away. Woolfolk adjusting his cap, now steps back in front of the slab. Peers in, he's ready. The 1-2 pitch. Just missed. Wow.
Again,
A flinch from Mang, but no call.
another great take by a Georgia Tech hitter. Man, that came on the line, borderline pitch like that. That's tough.
Well executed by Woolfolk as well. Now the right-hander's 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, struck him out. The Hoos hold on and sweep Georgia Tech. The Cavaliers have clinched the Coastal Division crown all by themselves. Sole possession. The best team in the Coastal. In 2023, it is your Wahoos. Our final, Virginia 8, Georgia Tech 7. The Yellow Jackets load the bases in the 9th. They leave the potential tying run at 3rd, the potential winning run at 2nd, and Jay Woolfolk finishes the job, working bases loaded, 1 out, strikes out the next couple of batters, and he actually strikes out the side in the 9th as Woolfolk picks up save number 9 on the season and his 2nd of this weekend series. Exhale, Wahoo fans. Virginia has held on. The Hoos with the win improve to 44-11 and now 19-11 in the ACC heading into next week's ACC tournament. Virginia 8, Georgia Tech 7 as the Wahoos by the skin of their teeth get it done today. Well, again, Woolfolk made it interesting as he has done a number of times this season, but he locks down the save, number 9 on the year. I believe the winning pitcher for Virginia should be O'Connor, and it is. And so for Jack this season, he will improve to 6-3 and definitely a deserving victor, Jack O'Connor, as he goes 2 1/3 of scoreless baseball. Virginia will head into the ACC tournament as the number 2 seed. They clinch the Coastal Division crown, and I got to say, at 19-11, pretty good resume for a top 8 national seed. Scott, final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just everything that you wanted to do as a program in the last 2 weeks played out perfectly for Brian O'Connor and his club. You win both ACC series, 2 sweeps. You got a number of close games in there to kind of emulate that postseason feel. I think, you know, from a resume standpoint, you've done all you can to be not only a regional host, but a top 8 seed in the upcoming NCAA tournament. So hats off to Brian O'Connor and his club. They've certainly done a good job over the past, not a good job, a great job over the past 2 weeks.
How about carrying a 9-game winning streak into playoff baseball? Not only that, this could be interesting. Virginia is the 2 seed. There's a strong possibility that the 11 seed will be the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, and Virginia will see Georgia Tech yet again this coming week in Durham. But that'll be our next broadcast from Durham, North Carolina. Don't know when, don't know on what date, nor do we know against what opponent. But Virginia, victors today, sweeping the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in Atlanta. My broadcast partner, Scott Fitzgerald, and everybody involved, I'm Channing Poole saying I hope you enjoyed the broadcast, and I know you enjoyed the result. One final time, our final score from Rush Chandler Stadium, Virginia 8, Georgia Tech 7. Until the ACC tournament. Thanks for listening, everybody.